how fondly have you looked back at Straight Ahead for the last 40 years?
Sometimes I would occasionally put it on, like the end of Warzone thing, and it would give me goosebumps. I'd be like, wow, like listen to what I was doing when I was like a little kid. I was like, no wonder everybody likes this so much. It's really good. Like from an outside perspective, I'm pretty damn happy with it.
It pops
like crazy, you know?
Is there any hope in ever seeing Straight Ahead again?
April 25th, we're playing in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Monarch as main support for Gorilla Biscuits. Yes, we've decided to play again. It just feels like something we can do. It feels right. Like when we rehearse, I get like goosebumps. It's like really fun. So I'm excited for it, you know?
Hello, welcome. It's HardLore time. How you doing, Bo?
I'm doing good. New me, new year. That's
right. New me, new year. Exactly. First episode of the year, and we've got a very special one. Mm-hmm. It is our honor to introduce a New York hardcore legend. There's no other way to say it. Iconic bass player, prolific. A man whose discography spans multiple generations, and we're going to get into all of them.
Quite a resume, you would say.
Quite a resume. One of the greats. Ladies and gentlemen, Craig Ahead, first known as Craig Setari. How are you, Craig?
Hey, guys. What's up? Nice intro, and thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, unbelievable.
I'm a fan of the show. So,
oh, wow.
I'm a fan of the show, so I'm excited to do this one.
That means a lot, and I know that when we spoke on the phone, you said you would forgive me for Warzone beating Sick of It All in the 80s bracket.
What are you going to do? You know, I used to go see Warzone play. It smelled like clove cigarettes, the Pyramid Club. So, you know, I got some memories and some, the heartstrings go when I think about Warzone a little bit as well. So that's the way it is.
Okay. So we all understand, you know? But I did fight for Sick of It All.
You know.
If you go back and review the footage, you'll see me going, I think it should be Sick of It All. So, but here we are. Let's dive in.
Yeah, sure.
What can you do? Before you were Craig Ahead, you were Craig Setari. You were born Craig Setari. Tell me about that guy and your early life before hardcore music.
All right. So as a little kid, I grew up in Queens, you know, the north end of Queens, a town called Bayside. Actually, one of the nicest parts of Queens. I was raised by my mother, and I have an older brother. We grew up in a small apartment with no money. I had an alcoholic father that left when I was very young, but came around just enough for me to see some really bad stuff as a kid. Yeah. And, you know, we all say when we talk about hardcore, we all say we're here for a reason. You know, those type of memories are probably my reason. And, I was just a normal kid growing up, getting into trouble and doing the wrong thing and hanging out in the streets and, running around with my friends. But my mother is very loving and my brother's a great guy. And, I always had a really good, strong family unit, but no father in the house, you know?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
So that's pretty much my childhood. Bad influences, most of the kids I grew up with. It's a cliche line, but they're dead or in jail. And I found music when I got to be a teenager, and that's what sort of pulled me out of, I was never a criminal at heart. I wasn't one of those guys. I was friends with a lot of these guys, but the music is really what opened my eyes to the world and having a better, more fulfilling life, I think.
It really usually is one of two things. It's sports or music. Sometimes both.
Both. It was both for me. I like baseball a lot. When I was a kid, I played baseball. I wouldn't have been a pro baseball player,
Yeah.
But, what can I tell you?
I actually heard that you've got some crazy baseball stories from your youth.
I don't know about crazy baseball stories, but I played on a couple of championship teams as a kid. And then as an adult, I played in an adult league and we won the championship. And I made some plays. I was in like the local paper for making a play or two. But there were guys in my baseball league that were like so good. They were like way better than me. I wasn't a standout. I was a average to good player.
Where was this?
This was in Bayside in Queens. I played in the Bayside Little League. It was fun.
And now, forgive me if I don't know my geography, but being from Queens, does that make you a Mets fan?
Well, technically, yeah. I mean, I'm a Mets fan because I grew up kind of near Shea Stadium, but
Okay.
the Mets over the years haven't given that much to really
Sure.
love. It's outside of a few years. You know what I mean? But technically, I'm a Mets fan. Yeah.
Who was the catcher? Mike.
Piazza, you're talking about?
Oh my God, I loved that guy.
Yeah, he could play. He was good. He was a good
He
power
was
hitter. He had
he
a
was
terrible
tough.
arm. He couldn't throw the ball
Yeah,
at all.
but he was tough.
He was
He was
tough.
tough.
He was good defensively, and he could hit really well. But his throwing was horrible. He couldn't the dude couldn't hit the side of a barn from 10 feet away. Like he would throw to second base, it would go to center. You know what I mean?
I mean, look, you only got to do one thing great, right? We can't all be Otani.
You got to. I mean, listen. You do what you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You need the world needs our Dennis Rodmans, you know?
Yeah.
I know we're not going to talk that much about baseball, but growing up, I was a Cubs fan, so we would root against the Mets, obviously. And but my dad, who was like a big Cubs guy, he would always be like, "I like Piazza."
All right, yeah.
He's got hustle, Yeah, it's one of those guys.
So you said music was the thing that got you out of a bad environment, a rough crowd. Was it hardcore music right away?
Not right away. I'd say when I was about 10 years old is when I really started digging into music. I started playing bass around 10 or 11 years old. When I was a little kid, my brother would bring home some records like, Aerosmith and, Black Sabbath. And I loved that stuff. And I still do. I still love that. And, I got into that. And then my brother started going to high school. And Danny Lilker was his classmate. They had music class together first thing in the morning. They became friends. And Big Charlie Hankins, who was the bouncer at CBGB's, rest his soul, he would come over too because my brother played on the football team. My brother was like the last bench warmer on the football team, and Charlie was the star of the team. So they were friends, and Danny was the connection because Danny was into like metal and punk and hardcore, and Charlie would go to CB's. So those guys came over and brought me records, and it just turned. And Danny started, showing me bass and all that, and it just turned into this thing from when I was like 10, 11 years old, where I just.
Did he give you your first bass?
He did. He actually gave it to my brother. My brother was going to play bass for that band Anthrax back in like 1980, and because they were just starting to play, and my brother didn't really care about that. He wanted to like drink beer and pick up chicks. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I would just sit home every day and play the thing, and I got good pretty fast. By the time I was 12, I was like in bands and stuff.
Was Danny Lilker somebody who was around hardcore in its infancy to you?
Okay. He was. He was like into rock and metal and hardcore, and he was a fan of everything. He was like the first crossover guy. So he turned me on to everything from Black Sabbath to the Exploited. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
He would give me 7 inches back in the early 80s, and I was like, let's go to a show. He's like, all right, wait till you get a little older,
Okay.
Before we get there, when you're picking up the bass, I'm just curious, are you, because like really early on in your discography, you're doing little bass runs, you're doing stuff that a lot of guys weren't necessarily doing at the time. The bass was more of like mimicking the guitar, but you're kind of playing a little more traditionally, which I would imagine comes from some of the stuff you're finding, some of the records you're getting. Are you playing with your fingers? Are you playing with a pick? Like, how are you approaching this instrument that's new to you?
The first, like I'd say from 10 to 12, I pretty much played with my fingers. I learned how to play everything with my fingers. I was a big fan of John Entwistle from The Who.
The Ox, baby.
Yeah, the Ox was great. So I learned all of that stuff and all early Sabbath. I was a big fan of Geezer Butler. He's kind of like one of my main influences. So I was doing that. And then when I first started playing shows with bands, I played with my fingers, but certain stuff when I started playing more like punk and hardcore, and even some like heavy metal stuff when I was a little kid, some of it had to be played with a pick. So I worked on my picking, and I got really good with a pick. So I pretty much play hardcore with a pick, but I play with my fingers as well. It just depends what I'm playing and who I'm playing with. When I jam with certain people that have nothing to do with hardcore, I'll play with my fingers a lot.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Just a true bassman.
Yeah, I was a bass player before I was a hardcore guy. It kind of came together in a way, but I didn't start playing bass because of hardcore. I was a bass player that found hardcore.
I think you can tell in a lot of your choices in songwriting. I mean, we'll get there, but like in Straight Ahead, right off the bat, it's the first thing you notice.
Yeah, Straight Ahead was pretty unique musically. Like it goes by so fast that it's hard to really pick it apart. But if you listen to the actual parts, some of it's just very basic, but a lot of it's like very musical.
Yeah,
it just happens so fast, and it's so eclectic, I guess is a good word for it. It's pretty eclectic stuff. Like I listen back to it, I'm proud of it. I think to myself, this is some of the best stuff I ever wrote. It's totally like it's very unique. It sounds like nothing else really. You could hear the influences of other things, but the riffs and the way they go together, there's weird timings and there's all kinds of like strange musical stuff.
It's insane how much happens efficiently in so little time.
100%.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. I look back at that with a lot of pride. And the way the sound I got, like on that first End of Warzone recording, it was just straight into the board. But I was playing my red bass. It just all fell together. I was like, I kind of found my way on that recording. I feel like that was like me. You know what I mean?
In order to get there, I wanna know how you met Tommy Carroll and other key bands and figures in your early life in hardcore.
I went to my first hardcore show in '84. It was warm weather, so summer of '84. I don't remember the exact date, but I went to a show, and I started every week. I went to shows, and right away, pretty quickly, I met Tommy at a show at like a Sunday matinee, and we were talking, and he was saying, "Hey, I play in this band, this NYC Mayhem band with these other guys, and it's good, but we need a new bass player, and I don't really like the direction." He was like finding his way as well, so I wound up playing with him. So Tommy and I became fast friends right away. We were friends, and he was cool. He would give me tapes. I would listen to these new bands. I would give him some stuff, and we would go back and forth like that. And he invited me to go watch one of the rehearsals. I did, and then shortly after, I was in the band. So,
were any of the songs on the Violence demo written before you were in the band?
All of them.
Okay, so you were not part of that writing process.
No, the really metal sounding stuff I didn't write. When I came in, it was like Tommy was like, "Hey, I want to play hardcore," and so when I joined the band, we used some of those songs still because it was like a transitional period. But I wrote a bunch of other songs, and Gordon also wrote songs that were more like the direction we were going in. Okay. And so a lot of that Mayhem stuff, the Mayhem stuff that we would play were Straight Ahead songs. We took them for Straight Ahead and adopted them, and just sort of like we didn't really even change them. We just played them. Maybe the arrangement switched a little, but a lot of later Mayhem, it's like 6 months later.
6 months later.
6 months later. But 6 months when you're 14 or 15 is a long time, But a lot of that stuff was used for Straight Ahead as well.
So Tommy played drums and sang in NYC Mayhem, and the demo came out in '85.
I think the one you're talking about probably came out in '84. I think.
So that's even crazier, because if that came out in '84, it's got blast beats on it. It starts with blast beats.
Yeah, that band was one of the first blast beat bands.
Maybe the first. Because if it's '84, the alleged first blast beat in recorded history is Milk by SOD.
Yeah, but they got that from Danny, and I don't want to say from me, but they got that from me and Danny jamming in my house and recording stuff. We used to I had this plush bass amp, and we would hang a microphone down over it and hang it in front of the speaker. And I would sit on a milk crate with a cassette thing, and we'd tape a beer can to it. I had a drumstick and a screwdriver with tape around it, and we would play off the cabinet and play the thing and hit the little thing as a cymbal. And he would play bass distorted through a wah, and we would switch back and forth between him drumming and singing and me doing it. We did this thing called the Crab Society. It was like a joke, and that became like something that SOD did later. And it was
their demo was Crab Society North.
Yeah,
we
did something
60
like that,
tracks or something.
Yeah, we did that like a year before or whatever, and it was like a joke. It was for fun,
so that means NYC Mayhem is the first recorded blast beat. That in the context of punk and metal and
I think
hardcore.
so, yeah, because the guys from Napalm Death, they always say you're the first blast beat. Your thing was your band, MIC Mayhem, and that early Crab Society was the first blast beat. So that's what the guys in Napalm Death say, and they're like the next blast beat, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Colin, when was like Hellhammer going?
Well, that was
okay.
But that would be 81 or 82, 83, because Celtic Frost started in 84.
Right. So if I had to guess, I would have said Hellhammer.
Right.
I would have.
But that's a.
You're right. That's not a blast.
Whereas Tommy's going.
He was doing a lot of drum rolls.
Yeah,
a lot of drum rolls off the hi hat, and then later straight ahead was punches. Off the riffs. So we were doing more like almost like.
Straight ahead did the scissor, constantly, which was just like a
cymbal cues, like Tom stuff, almost like I call them like circus beats. Sounds like a circus, like sped up.
So where would he have gotten? Is he getting that from like jazz?
Yeah,
he played drums and he liked jazz when he was a little kid because his father was into jazz. So he always says to me, "Yeah, I had like a jazz influence, but I didn't realize it was jazz." But also he said, "All right, these guys do this. I'm going to do a snare roll to make it even faster," because he wanted to play really fast when he was a kid like that.
Unbelievable.
That's what we call HardLore.
That's HardLore, man. So NYC Mayhem coincides with the explosion of extreme metal.
Yeah,
4 years after Slayer, or 3 years after Slayer, 2 years after Possessed, the first death metal band, a year after Celtic Frost starts, or the same year. If you're saying the demo's 84, that's insane. It is straight up proto Generation 1 death metal.
Wow.
So we played, like they played that, and then I joined, but we turned more into a hardcore band because I was more into hardcore, and so was Tommy, and we kind of morphed.
Okay.
And that's why we eventually broke up, because Gordon didn't want to play like that, so he left, and then Straight Ahead wound up forming down the line.
Okay.
By down the line, I mean like
8 months later.
Yeah.
Straight Ahead probably formed in December of 8. Was it like December
85, December or something?
Yeah, like December of 85, or maybe even earlier. It's hard for me to say. Yeah. Mayhem was like the end of 84 through most of 85. We played with the Psychos at CB's on October 6th of 1985, and that might have been the last Mayhem show. I'm not sure.
And as you're doing that, you're thinking, "Fuck this! I just want to play hardcore."
Yeah. Well, we played with this. It was the Numbskulls, which was Richie's band before. That he called it True Blue, but then it was Underdog. And they played, and then Token Entry played, and Mayhem played, and the Psychos played. It was like a matinee at CB's. And, we were like, Tommy, you should be, Tommy, we wanted to be the frontman. We wanted to be the frontman. We were like, having the drummer behind the drums sucks. We want to have pylons and sing-alongs. We wanted to increase the fun factor, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So we, Tommy came out behind the drums. So we were like, who's going to play drums? And one day we were sitting outside of CB's, and I was telling Armand this story. I was like, Tommy wants to, sing, and we're going to change it up, and we're not sure what the name's going to be. And Armand was like, I want to play drums. I was like, but you play guitar, because he was a guitar player, a really good one originally. And he was like, I want to play drums. And I'm like, you don't play? He goes, yeah, but I always wanted to. I was like, okay, we're going to rehearse in like, whatever. We're going to rehearse on Thursday or whatever the hell. Right. So we rehearsed, and we had a gig. Like, first gig was like 2 weeks later. So he played at rehearsal like a handful of times and played the first Straight Ahead gig.
Holy shit.
And Billy Psycho was the guy who tried out. He tried out, but we didn't take him because he couldn't.
You did Armand hitting stuff for the first time over Billy Psycho?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Billy was more of a traditional drummer. You know what I mean? It wouldn't really work. It was so fast.
Was Armand already not singing Rest in Pieces at this time?
He was at that point, I think he was just playing guitar for Rest in Pieces, and he switched over to guitar and vocals. Because originally they had a guy named Rob Calhoun, rest his soul, singing. Right. And Armand was a guitar player. I think at that point Armand was singing and playing guitar.
So Armand is just getting greedy at this point. He's saying, I got to do it all.
Yeah, he was like, he was like he was into it, man. He was like so into it.
I love about the stories about any bustling beginning scene is they're pickup games. It's like, who's around? Like whoever's around,
totally.
Let's get him in. Before we move on too far, Craig, do you remember? You mentioned going to that first CB show. Do you remember who played?
AOD, Adrenaline Overdose.
Mm-hmm.
Bedlam.
Mm.
And no, it might have been Bedlam. It was either Bedlam or it was Bodies in Panic. Maybe, I don't remember. It might have been Bodies in Panic. And this band opened up Malignant Tumor. It was like their first show, maybe. And it was this guy Jimmy. He had a big scar over his eye. And when he came out, he's like, "Hey, you guys might know me from hanging out in the park. I'm Jimmy. I'm friends with Roger and those guys." Blah blah blah. And they played, and I liked them. They were like real simple. They had like 3-chord songs with sing along. It was like early. It was like '84 hardcore. 3-chord songs, like mental abuse, AOD. Like with these bands, like Malignant Tumor opening up. It was like early hardcore. The whole place smelled like clove cigarettes. Early 84 hardcore.
The clove cigarettes have really stuck
smelled like clove cigarettes. And people either had a shaved head or a mohawk, and they all had on trench coats and Doc Martens.
Sick.
That's totally early hardcore.
And you're in immediately.
I'm in. And the Rock Hotel shows really smelled like clove cigarettes. You go to the Rock Hotel in like 84, it just smelled like clove cigarettes. 84, 85, everything smelled like clove cigarettes.
Now, Craig, do you hate the smell of clove cigarettes so much that you become straight edge?
I don't know about that, but it definitely reminds me of like being like a scared but thrilled little kid.
Yeah, sure.
Just moshing, but being like, God, it fucking stinks.
Yeah, the first show I ever went to, I went to CB's, and I walk in, and there's like maybe 40, 60 people there. Everyone's got the trench coats. It smells like clove cigarettes. And I walk in, and I see Big Charlie Hankins. And he looks at me. He goes, Kid, you finally came to a show. And he grabs me, and he goes, good. He's hugging me, saying hello. And he says to everybody, he goes, yo, you see, it was in between bands. He goes, before the first band started, he goes, you see this kid? This kid's my friend. He goes, we all look out for this kid. He's a good kid. So then during that show, I was moshing, and he took me on his shoulders, and we did chicken fights, like old school chicken fights. And right away, everybody was my friend. And, I became friends with Stigma. I don't know if it was that day or the next time I went, but, right away, I was friends with everybody.
They took you under their wing.
Big Charlie gave me his blessing. I mean, what more do you want?
Beautiful.
The opposite of Mark Porter's experience.
Yeah, right.
Showing up with metalheads, getting his ass kicked. Wow, that is really beautiful.
Yeah.
So you're 84. You're in. A year later, same year you're doing NYC Mayhem. A year later, 40 years ago, Straight Ahead is born.
Yeah.
And remains to this day one of the most beloved, influential, and still underrated, short-lived hardcore bands of all time.
We never really. It happened then, and it was never really pushed again. So it was like very much that time period.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, I want to hear it. You did this right here.
Oh, I love that one.
And then you did one more record and basically called it a day. Craig, is there any hope in ever seeing Straight Ahead again?
April 25th, we're playing in Brooklyn at the Brooklyn Monarch as main support for Gorilla Biscuits. Yes, we've decided to play again, and we are doing that. We've rehearsed. It sounds great. Tommy totally has his act together vocally. He's been practicing for months. We've been talking about doing this for years, and we always were like, I was on tour, and me and Armand were like, we don't really have time. And, Tommy was busy with work, and it never really worked out. And now that Lou, God bless him, is not playing right now because he's recovering. We just figured, if we're ever going to do it, now is the time. And Tommy's in a good place. He's a family man. And he was like, he wanted to do it so bad. He's like, I want to do this. I want to do this. We didn't close that out right. He's like, I want to do it. We got to do it. He goes, I want the opportunity to set it straight so that it is right for forever. Like, in other words, we broke up. We should have kept going. We never did we didn't really continue in any manner. So he was really excited. I said, listen, Tommy, here's the deal. Work on the material. We'll rehearse. We'll see how it sounds.
Yeah.
And we rehearsed, and Tommy sang every song without any problem. Good timing, sounded great. We ran through the set like 3 times. His voice didn't fail. The next day I called him. He talked fine. He's like, when you told me there's a possibility we can do this, I've been practicing like multiple times per week for the past bunch of months. So he's in shape. We sounded really good. Rob and Armand is the original lineup. I think it's going to be really good. It just feels like something we can do. It feels right. Like when we rehearse, I get like goosebumps. It's like really fun. So I'm excited for it,
For the first time since 1988, Straight Ahead is back. You heard it here.
And I think it's going to be really good.
I guarantee you it's going to be really good.
I think
so
it
it's
is.
You, Tommy, Armand, and Rob.
Yes, same exact group, same setup. We sound good. Like we play those old songs way better than we used to. It sounds the same, but it sounds like clearer. You can like hear the parts. We're not rushing through it as much. We're still playing super fast, but the backups sound clearer.
Good.
You know, the sounds are nice and crisp. I think it's going to be great. I'm so excited for this. I can't wait.
Beautiful.
I mean, you and
I
Armand,
wanted to say it here first with you guys because I loved it because I'm a fan of the show and you guys get it.
That means the world. We love Straight Ahead.
Yep.
Obviously.
That's amazing.
It's well documented. We got to get it on streaming now. The people need to
working on that.
Need to have it.
I was waiting till the show was announced, which is happening earlier, which happened just earlier today.
It got announced today.
So I got the streaming in the works and all kinds of stuff I'm working on. We have social media that we just set up. I set up a Facebook and an Instagram, Straight Ahead NYHC.
Beautiful.
On both of them.
Unbelievable.
Let me ask you, this is something I was wondering about. Little insider baseball for everybody out there. We knew all that coming into the show. Come on. But I was wondering.
Today.
Part of Straight Ahead's appeal, at least especially back before streaming was even a thing, was the fact that like you kind of had to know about Straight Ahead. Like it was like you had to be pretty into hardcore to know about Straight Ahead or Rest in Pieces or like some of these bands that were pretty short-lived but were really, really fucking cool. And I'm just curious, are you at all like worried about, because like obviously you have to go to YouTube or something to listen to the EP, like are you worried about losing any of that like mystique or the mysteriousness or anything like that?
I put this off. The people all throughout the years have been asking me, put the record out. I always say, no, I want to leave it where it is. It's special. It's going to be the unsung thing. Like, almost like a Minor Threat, but less known. You know what I mean? Not to compare it to Minor Threat, which is like the ultimate, but you get the idea.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I'm just going to leave it where it is. It's going to be one of those rare bands that never, that you had to be there and it's hard to find. But honestly, like, it feels right. It never felt right. Now it feels right. It just feels like it's going to work. I know we're going to be really good. Will it be exactly the same? I don't think so because we're not little kids anymore.
Yeah, of course.
But like I know that I'm thrilled to play that material and I can still play it with that. I still get that adrenaline rush where I feel it coming out of me. That stuff just gets me. It's my own band and I wrote the songs, but I still love that stuff,
Beautiful.
And you've been Craig Ahead for 40 years,
Yeah, well, Tommy always called me Greg with a G. Still to this day, Greg. I'm like, but one day we were playing a show and he goes Arm and Hammer on drums and he goes and on bass and he looked at me and he started laughing. He goes Greg Ahead and I just laughed and it's stuck ever since.
Wow. Let's get into the discography here. Straight Ahead. Started with was there a cassette demo before those songs were on the Warzone 7-inch?
No, that's the recording of the material.
Is it.
That's it. We did it.
Why? On a 7-inch comp. Every other band here's got 1, 2. One band has 4 songs. They're very short. Straight Ahead's got 9 songs.
Why?
On a 7-inch comp.
Why? Hardcore. That's why. Hardcore.
God,
Hardcore. That's why. That's we were like, yo, who puts out 2 songs? That's like what rock and metal bands do. Let's put a whole bunch of stuff on. We just blasted it out. We recorded 12 songs, but we put 9 of them on.
Right? Yeah, 12 songs are on a cassette somewhere.
12 songs were in that session. That session was 3 hours in a studio uptown. And it was the guy, what's his name, that did the Bad Branch stuff later on. What the hell was his name? He did some Sick of It All stuff too. Good guy. A little tiny place, little singular room behind in a little glass booth. And we just sat up and played. And we, the band played. Tommy actually played drums on that because Armand had just, triple X.
XXX drums.
So that's Tommy playing. Yeah. You get the look on your face. You get it.
No credit for Armand.
Total dirt, yeah. But he didn't play on it. Tommy played on it. So Armand, we looked like, we'll just do it with Tommy because, Armand was so fresh to drumming. And 3 hours, $25 an hour, $75. We played the songs like all pretty much in one take. We might have went over, let me do that one again. We did it. And then as soon as we were done, Tommy sang, and Rob and myself, we stood on the sides, Tommy's side, and just yelled into the mic, the backups as we went.
So you're going, straight edge,
straight
edge.
Yeah. Right next to him, yelling and spitting in his face. You know what I mean? Screaming it out.
So being an early straight edge band, how straight edge was this band? Did anybody in hardcore in 1986 look at straight edge as a concept as like this a big lifetime commitment like it is now?
Straight edge was like Youth of Today had their 7-inch out. We loved Minor Threat, and that was like Tommy's thing. Tommy would like uncover, he'd get really into an aspect of the scene and he'd go in all the way, and then he'd find something else and he'd go into that. He wouldn't like leave behind what he did, but he was one of those guys that like dug in with both heels. So, the straight, and I was like, I don't want to call the band Straight Ahead. I'm not straight edge. Like, I would drink beer. And I was like, what are you doing? And he's like, no, it'll be great. Trust me. I was like, well, I like straight edge stuff. I'm cool. And then, within 3 months, I wasn't drinking beer. Or back then, probably 3 weeks. So I was technically straight. I'm straight edge now. So it kind of worked out,
Okay. How long were you straight edge at the time?
For a while. Probably I was straight edge. Once I started becoming straight edge, I was straight edge for years until Stigma had me smoke a joint with him.
That'll get you.
He'll do
Stigma.
it.
That'll get you.
Probably got me drunk too. You know what I mean?
Who is One Step Ahead Records?
That was a guy named Mike Rubin from California.
Tarzana, that's the Valley, baby.
Yeah, he came to New York. He was a friend of Tommy's, like a tape trading pen pal. He came to New York and came to our rehearsals. And Tommy was like, yeah, we're going to put out a record with him. We're going to do a 7-inch comp. And I remember he came to New York and he came to our rehearsal. We rehearsed at the Old Giant on 38th Street. It was back with like 85 or whatever. And he came in and I met him off the train because I took the 7 train in from Queens, or the F train, the 7 to the F. So I took, maybe back then 38th Street was probably just the 7 train. Whatever, I don't remember. But I met him at the train and we walked to the rehearsal, and there was a guy, a kid, young guy doing the shell game, with the 3 shells and which one's an under. And he stopped and the guy goes, yo, man, which one's an under? And he looked at the guy. I go, don't talk to him. And the guy looked at me and he goes, yo, man, don't speak for him. He's a grown man. Maybe we were like 15. And I go, Mike, don't answer him. And he's like, the guy got like a little loud with me. And I was like, yo, I know this, the guy was trying to bait him. And I was like, yo, I know what's up. And I said, Mike, just walk away. And Mike was like, that one. And he won. And the guy handed him like, $5. And I was like, Mike, he's got you now. I go, give him the $5 and walk away. Just give it back to him. And the guy was arguing with me, and he wound up losing like $100. And like, you know how that goes, like a minute and a half. He lost,
that's like $800 now.
Back then, yeah. And I was like, and he was all upset. I go, Mike, man, what did I tell you? I go, you don't do that. I go, but anyway, really nice guy.
Those guys are good.
Fell into it. The guy was an expert. You know what I mean? Like I was a skinny little 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
It was like 3 dudes with them, giant dudes. I was like, sort of like
cheering you on, being like, yeah, you got it, buddy.
Oh, yeah, he got it. Yeah, that's analog.
They got me at the Berlin Wall bad one time.
Analog slot machines, dude. That's all it is.
In Germany, huh? Wow.
Oh yeah, and he was good. And at the end I was like, "You're good," and he went, "I am very good."
You know what I remember too? I remember like when you were young, when I first started going to England, the guys would hang outside like the strip clubs, and they'd be like, come in, have a drink."
Oh,
and
dude.
I knew that. And these other bands we would tour with, these kids, I'd be like, whatever you do, don't answer that guy. Don't engage him. Just keep walking. And one guy in a band went in, sat down, they gave him a drink, and you got to give me $800 or $500, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
And they took him to the ATM and they like beat him up. And I was like, yo, what did I tell you? Like, I was like, you're going to lose all your money. Those, it's like giant German, like gangster guys. They're going to beat you up.
What are you going to do?
Yeah. You know what I mean? He's like a little kid. I was like, I told you, man, don't do that.
So simultaneously with straight ahead is existing. You got the End the Warzone stuff. You're writing Breakaway. Simultaneously, you're playing bass in a little band called Youth of Today. Tell me about this time of your life. You played bass on Break Down the Walls.
Yeah, you know what's crazy about that? Like back then, like from the middle of 84 to like 87 was, whatever, a couple of short years. It seemed like a decade or two. Mm-hmm. Things happened so fast back then. Back then, a summer into the fall was like 4 years is now.
Yeah.
It's so insane.
Yeah.
What happened was Tommy became friends with Ray. I met Purcell when Violent Children played CB's. They were main support for a big New York band show at CB's, and I met Purcell and he was cool. I liked the way he moshed. I was like, you got style, And
I like that. I feel that way today about some people.
And and he was, I was like, check this guy out. Like I thought he was cool. You know what I mean? And so what happened was they became friends with Tommy as well. So they said, hey, we need a drummer. So Tommy started jamming with Youth of Today, and Gavin was going to play bass. Gavin
Byrne?
Gavin Byrne was going to play bass because he knew all those guys. He knew Purcell from upstate somehow. He lived upstate for a while, Gavin. What happened was Gavin was going to play bass. For whatever reason, Gavin didn't play bass. And Tommy said, hey, look, if I'm going to play drums, get Craig to play bass. Craig, he knows the 7-inch.
Dude, Tommy is your fucking boy.
Tommy's my boy. Tommy's one of the best guys in the world. People that don't know Tommy, he is one of the coolest guys ever. He is so... Tommy could do something wrong, right? Tommy could like do something. You know how most people, when your friend does something and messes up and you go, yo, what'd you do? He tries to get out of it. Tommy will be like, yeah, I fucked that up. And I'll be like, why'd you do that? He'd be like, back in the old days, he'd be like, well, I was drunk. You know what I mean? But he'll like mess something up and own it. Like the guy doesn't lie. I've seen him protect people when they were wrong, but he'd say to the other people, this guy's all right. He made a mistake. You got to let him go. Like he's your friend. Tommy's a friend. He's honest. He'll take fault when he does something wrong. Tommy's one of the most straight up honest people I've ever known. Like he's a no bullshit type guy, and he looks out for you. Tommy's great. I love him. That's why when we were talking about this and I saw the state he was in and how enthusiastic he was and how his life is, I was like, as long as his voice, if he can physically sing the songs, now is the time to do it.
I'm glad to hear he's in a good place now.
So
he gets you in Youth of Today.
He gets me in Youth of Today. And so Ray writes me a letter, right? I have a letter somewhere from Ray. And he's like, it's a long, like 2 or 3 page letter saying how we can do great things together. You join this band, we'll be a one strong force. We're all on the same page. It's like a really nice letter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He writes me like this inspirational letter. It's almost like a sermon by a deacon in a church or something. And I wound up playing in the band. So that's what happened. Yeah, I tried out.
How long were you in the band, and did you contribute to the writing on Break Down the Walls?
I was in the band for probably a year. It seemed like a lot more. I think I started playing with them in like maybe March of 86, or at least that's when Ray moved to New York, and we started playing shows. And I played with them all through 87. We went to California. I thought it was the summer of 86, but Purcell straightened me out on that. We went in the winter of 86 into the turn of 87, or maybe right when it turned to 87. Yep. We were out in California and I played with them then, and Break Down the Walls had already come out. So I played with them for about a year. It was fun.
So did you write any of Break Down the Walls?
No, but what happened was I didn't write any of it because I already had all the material. I wrote a
Oh, okay.
song. I wrote a song that was going to be on Breakdown the Walls. It was called New Beginning. And originally the label was going to be called New Beginning. Instead, they went on Wishing Well.
Right.
So the New Beginning thing never happened. So I wrote a song called New Beginning. We played it 2 or 3 times at shows, but we wound up dropping it. They didn't put it on the record. And so New Beginning is a straight ahead song because it was never played live, but we had the song. And when we started playing again in '87 after they broke up, New Beginning was a straight ahead song. But we recorded it without vocals at that point. There's like a weird demo somewhere that nobody's ever heard. And so New Beginning is one of the songs we're going to actually play at this show.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's like a fast hardcore song with a big breakdown, big SSD type breakdown. Sing along. Hardcore.
What more do you want?
So let me ask you a couple questions. I know you said it was already prepared, but I gotta wonder with your style in Straight Ahead. The song Stabbed in the Back. It's got a little ding 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 ding. It's got a little bass run in there. Did you bring that to the table or was that already written?
Actually, that was already written. Ray wrote it. He wrote it kind of with the bass run. I tailored it a little bit.
Yeah.
I put like a little tail on it.
Yeah.
But it's basically, something that Ray wrote. Ray wrote pretty much all of those songs musically. He wrote all of them.
Wow.
Ray could write. He can write.
Good for you, Ray.
And he knows his way around an instrument a little bit. He's like, oh, that's major, that's minor. I'm like, oh, you know that, okay.
There is one of my favorite. It seems real early youth today, but when we're talking, as you said, how seasons go by in the span of years, it's you guys playing at CB's, and you are as skinhead up as possible. I think you're X'd up and you're skanking to all the parts. And it's just like the coolest style. It's the coolest style I can like connect with personally while being the oldest version of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the first example I can pinpoint of like, that's a guy.
Oh, that's what all my peers and I'm trying to do.
That's what I'm trying to do. So I want to know where are you getting that from? How are you being like, I'm going to skank during this, what we now call youth crew part on stage?
First, let me say I love your enthusiasm. And that's why I wanted to be on this show. Cause you guys like have that little kid enthusiasm. I have the same thing. I was like, these guys, like we'd be playing in the sandbox. You know what I mean? Like it's totally
I'm still in the sandbox.
Hey, this episode we're going to call Spirit of YouTube. You know what I mean? Because we have studied these things.
This is the sandbox.
This is it. Yeah.
Into it. Like I love that Can't Close My Eyes 7-inch. And I saw them there when they played CB's the first time they played in New York. They opened up for, I think it was Agnostic Front. And I thought they were great. And I moshed and sang along the whole show, And I was like just excited. Like, and these guys, like they would go off on stage and I would go off on stage. And I just wanted to like, I would get on stage. Even later with Sick of It All, when we first went to Europe, like in my mind, I was like, I'm from New York hardcore. I'm going to show these people what this is. Like people, they've never seen this. We're going to represent where we come from. It was like pride. I was like, this is New York hardcore. They're going to see what this is.
Now, is that because people are like, these guys are from Connecticut and to some extent?
Well, I don't know about that. I mean, they moved to New York and they were into it. So I wasn't really thinking like necessarily where they're, I'm just talking in general, you know what I mean? But that band, I was like, we're going to come out like on fire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
and
not to necessarily impress everyone partially, but to impress ourselves, to be the hardcore band. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So did the Breakdown the Walls recording process give you a perspective to which to approach recording Breakaway? Was it like, damn, this is what this could be. I need to take this next one seriously?
Not really. I feel like with Youth of Today, when they were in the studio, but the one record I did with them, they didn't really care too much they didn't really know much about recording or getting sounds in the studio. They were just like, yeah, let's just play and make a record. They weren't.
It sounds insanely good, though.
Well, it worked out well. But like I think with Straight Ahead, with like Rob and Armand and Tommy, we were more like we understood the studio a little better. We were a little more like, I don't want to say we were more musical. We were a little more on. We were more players, I think.
Sure.
You know, we were more like players, I guess.
So Armand quickly became good enough to record drums?
The first show we played, he was pretty good. I mean,
crazy.
He used to, it was weird, but Armand's like a very talented guy. Armand's one of those guys that he's a great guitar player. He plays bass really well. And like there are like 2 Sick of It All songs where he actually played bass and nobody knows it on records, because they were songs he wrote and he wrote them at the last minute. And he was like, you want me to show you the song? And I'd be like, let's not take the hour to do it. I go, you just play the bass track. You know what I mean? So he did that on like 2 songs over the course of Sick of It All.
Dr. Midnight coming in and finishing it up.
He's a guy, just pops right in. He's very good at everything. So he picked up drums right away.
They drive me crazy. Good at guitar, singing, drums, podcasting, co-hosting. They drive me nuts.
They're the worst.
I'm not done with Youth of Today, though. Yeah, I got just a couple more questions.
This guy's a drummer, but he's a guitar player, but I think of him more as a drummer. He's one of those guys. He's one of those guys.
Just one of those guys. Was it the Break Down the Wall session where Ray stopped singing and people opened the door and he was passed out?
Yes, I was there when he passed out. He was jumping up and down, and I was like, why is this guy jumping up and down? Just sing the song. You don't have to jump up and down, but he was into it, you know? And I was like, all right.
You can hear it in the session.
Yeah, he jumps up. He's jumping up, and you can see him from the chest up, you know, because he's in the booth. And he's jumping. He's jumping up and down, and all of a sudden he jumps up, and he doesn't come back up, and he doesn't sing the rest of the song. I'm like, what's this guy doing? And he's like, he got lightheaded and went down. It's great.
And now,
and then you can't fake
funny.
that.
Oh, it's funny. It's crazy.
Last question for you today. As people who were not involved at the time, and you were in what like, because we talked to Stigma, we talked to Dijon and Tom, and we did a small bit of our New York hardcore episodes. But they were kind of like, Stigma was already around, and like some of these guys were already around, but you were there during a period of time that like a lot of us and my peers consider like the New York hardcore golden age, like the starting of all these bands and all these stories and all this shit we know. With Youth of Today specifically, we're going to talk a lot more about all other New York hardcore. With Youth of Today specifically, did you feel as though this was a band, because they seem in hindsight to be starting a movement, to be doing the youth crew, to be doing a thing? Was that a feeling that was happening at the time where you felt as though, they're doing, it's more than just music, it's this vegetarianism and the straight edge thing and the youth thing,
the symbolism.
Yeah, it kind of just built slowly. It was like, you know, like, oh, I'm vegetarian. Oh yeah, well, let's eat. Okay, and you know, we'd eat something vegetarian, and then like, hey, like the kid from Boulder would be like, I'm gonna cook, and he'd cook something vegetarian, and I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna make that, and I'd like go home and make it for my mother and brother, and they'd be like, oh, that was really good. Cook again next week, okay? And it just took its shape, you know.
Yeah.
Ray was very much like a guy always experimenting with what's next, and he was very much, people listened to him. He had like the cult of personality thing going on, so he had a strong personality. So he was basically the driving force behind a lot of that type of stuff, you know. And I realized it was happening, but when you're in the middle of it, you don't see it as how it looks, how it's gonna look. There's no hindsight there. Yeah, there's no hindsight yet. But yeah, that was like a big thing, and a lot of people were for it, and a lot of people were against it. A lot of the old New York heads would be like, "What are you doing in that band, kid? You know, like you're like a hardcore guy, like one of us. You're doing that." I go, "Listen, man, I'm not shutting the door on anything. It's great. I love it." They're like, "Oh, the band's great, but you know, this guy's saying this and that." And I was like, "He can say what he wants. That's why we're all here." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There was a push and a pull, kind of. You know, there was like some varying things going on. You know.
So was it like the old heads being like these new guys coming around and setting all these rules?
No, people weren't against them, but they were like some little. Sometimes the envelope got pushed a little too far. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like one time, Youth of Today played, and Murphy's Law was playing, and they were like, they loved Murphy's Law, but they kind of almost talked shit on Murphy's Law, and I was like, yo, you can't do that. I was like, this is my favorite band ever. I was like, I'll be up there with an X singing about fucking, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll be up there with an X, like, you know, watching Joe Bruno do Burnt Toast. I was like, this is the greatest band ever. And they would laugh because they were all friends. There was no like actual beef, but I was like, you know, like, come on now, let's not go.
Yeah.
I'm not getting involved in that. Murphy's Law, come on. Straight edge kids with X's singing along, you know, into Murphy's Law. It's like
100%.
That's
to this
pure,
day.
to me, that's like the most hardcore thing that could ever happen.
And at the same time, Murphy's Law is later. They're wearing Floor Punch shirts later, so they're doing the same thing,
And lastly, Craig ahead. Were you part of the youth crew?
I was for 86, yeah. I was 86. But and then after I quit the band, I remember it said on the wall at the Anthrax, not the little one in the little basement one, the next one, the kind of bigger one.
Uh-huh.
And it said in the backstage on the wall, it said Craig ahead, put an X on his hand, but didn't take the oath.
Oh,
and everyone pointed like, "Oh, look, that's like Purcell talking shit on you," and we would just laugh.
Yeah, but then, so do you quit Youth of Today to like take Straight Ahead more seriously?
Yeah, what happened was I was playing with those guys. It was a little bit of how it was getting a little more closed. Like, we're like this, and this is what it is. And I was like, well, that's cool. But I was a little more, it's hard to explain. Like, it felt like it was turning into like more of a dress code and like a way it had to be than a way it was. Mm-hmm. It had a little bit of that vibe. And I went to California with those guys, and we had a good time. But I didn't really fit in with them back then. I was a little younger, and I was a quieter, so I felt like I wasn't really what I brought to the table. I think they appreciated it, but I had more music in me, and I had a lot. I felt like, okay, this isn't really my band, and I'm the kind of guy, when I have a band, I write. I'm like very, very involved. You know what I mean? I'm like musical, so I'm always doing music and doing all. I'm very like, if I'm in your band, like I'm totally involved. You know what I mean? So I just said, hey, I'm going to concentrate on Straight Ahead, and I left. And I remember.
So at the same time, I think Richie would leave to do the same thing with Underdog.
Basically, yeah.
What did the community think of Underdog at the time? Because people in bands played so many different roles.
Yeah.
Do your peers hear Richie sing and think, yo, where did this beautiful voice come from?
Well, Richie's was always a good writer and a good player, and wrote, had a good voice. Richie's great, and his stuff is really good. Like, I remember, I loved the Numbskulls. The Numbskulls were great. They were like a stripped down Underdog. And then they called themselves True Blue when they first came out. The demo was originally like the True Blue demo.
Yeah, there's the True Blue song.
Yeah, and then it became like Underdog. But I loved Underdog. So did everybody. Everyone was like, Underdog's great. You know what I mean? But Richie was like a part of the scene, obviously. He was embedded in the scene. So, but that was beautiful back then. People had different styles. Yeah. You had Murphy's Law. You had Agnostic Front. You had Sheer Terror. You had your Void, and you had, what's a band to describe, like a light poppy band in hardcore. Right on the tip of my tongue. But anyway, you had bands like Void, and then you had a lot more light bands, and that was the beauty of it. Everyone did their own thing. So
yeah.
When you heard, what were your first thoughts when you heard Into Another?
I thought it was good, and they're experimenting. I feel like it danced around a lot, but I understood what they were doing. They were feeling themselves out to see what they could do. It was brave. And I was
serious musicianship as well.
I was an Agnostic Front at that point, and being an Agnostic Front, we were like locked into what we were doing. So I was still locked into like straight up hardcore, but being able to do that, it's a good thing. I write a bunch of material still to this day. I have tons of acoustic songs and stuff that's like almost like pop anthems. I write all kinds of weird stuff.
I mean, you can hear that in Sick of It All. Plenty.
Yeah, I write stuff that nobody's ever heard. That I like write acoustic songs that are just like really like dreamy and soft. Like, I like to play the instrument. I'm like a musician. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So like, I get it. They're basically just saying, hey, all this stuff that I do on my own that would never fly in hardcore, I'm going to go out and play it to the world, which is pretty fucking cool, man.
Yeah.
So let's go back to Straight Ahead mode here. You leave Youth of Today, you're taking Straight Ahead seriously. So let's talk about the Breakaway 12-inch. Tell me about memories that come to mind writing and recording it. Do you have any memories from the actual session?
Totally. I just remember Tommy being like, he would spring stuff on you, Tommy. He'd be like, hey, we're going to record. we're gonna do an EP. We got to do an EP. And I'd be like, what do you mean? He'd be like, no, we got to do it at night though. I'd be like, what do you mean at night? Like 3 a.m. I'm like, what? So Chuck Val, rest his soul, beautiful, beautiful person. God bless him. Chuck Val worked at Chung King. So he was like, listen, you guys can record at Chung King, but it has to be after the place is completely closed down. I'm going to do it on the sly, you know?
Yeah.
So like all you got to pay for is like the tape. You know what I mean? You got to like buy the reel. So it was like a few $100 or whatever it was back then. We had to buy the reels, you know? Mm-hmm. It was like 2-inch to 1/2 inch or whatever.
Okay.
Old school. So we went in at 3 a.m. and we were like exhausted. And I remember like Armand being like, I'm so tired. I can't play drums. I should be sleeping. And we did it, and we recorded it, and we were like super, super tired. And we did it over a couple of nights. We'd go in for like an hour or two, and then we went in like one other time for an hour or two and did it maybe 2 times.
And is this Armand's first time recording drums?
Yes, first time recording drums. But he'd been in the band for I don't even know when. I can't remember when that was recorded. How much later than the End of Warzone sessions, but
can't have been that late. I mean, it all happened so fast.
That was probably like within a year.
Yeah, right.
But it seemed like a lifetime back then. But so we recorded at night, and I remember Chuck was doing it, and Chuck was a guy that, like, when I was a kid, like before that and during that time, he'd call me and be like, "What are you doing?" I'd be like, "Nothing." He'd be like, "You playing that show on Sunday?" I'd be like, "Yeah." He'd be like, "I'm going to bring my amp." And I'd be like, "But you're not playing." He'd be like, "I'm going to bring it anyway." And I'd be like, "I'll borrow an amp." He'd be like, "No, I'm going to bring my amp." He knew I didn't have gear, and he would bring me equipment, and he would always make sure that I was like, I had stuff. He was like, "You okay with that show?" He would like call me to ask me. Wow. And he would bring the gear to help me. He was such a good guy, great guy. And he just looked out for everybody. He was like the sweetest, greatest guy ever. And, I have this thing called the BM, which is the Bass Mafia. And it's like an organization I have with bass players, and we bring people in. And it's like not really a secret organization, but we always say, "Oh, BM." Like it's bass players looking out for bass players. There's tons of people. We got like tons of people all over the world. Lemmy was BM.
It's a union. It's a bass.
It's like a bass union. You know what I mean? We had some big guys, and it's mostly hardcore guys. But Chuck was the original guy that like embodied the BM. Like the BM just means like I help you, you help me. We look out for each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bass players for bass players, and bass players for drummers, and whoever else is cool. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So Chuck would always he was original BM. Like you wouldn't even ask him, and he would take care of you.
Wow.
Greatest dude ever.
How much of the tone, the bass tone in particular on Breakaway, is one of the most iconic parts of this record?
Agreed.
How much of that was you? How much of that was Chuck?
We had an SVT, and I just got a sound, and Chuck, we played it, and Chuck would be like, "Hey, come in here and listen. Armand, play the bass." Armand would always like reference, and I'd listen, and Armand we'd always say he would goose it up because it would feel greasy afterwards. I'd be like, "You killed my strings," because he's got like the sweaty hands. So he would always goose up the bass. I'd have to like change my strings. So we just honed it in. He'd be like, "All right, it's a little thin here. Let's do a little bit here on the board." He kind of taught me how to work through the board a little bit, Chuck. And we would like mess with the amp and like, "Hey, I'm gonna pull the mic back a little." So we just kind of both honed it in together because he was a bass player until we got the sound that I wanted.
Wow.
I really love the way the End of Warzone stuff sounds as well. I think that it's like my action's a little too low and I'm playing a little too hard. It's
so funny that you can just hear that.
You can hear it, yeah,
and still think about it 42 years.
Yeah. I can totally like Red. I just got Red set up before we started rehearsing straight ahead, and it feels and sounds exactly the same. The action's not too low, but the pickups are a little too high, so it has that like hot sound.
Yeah.
It sounds great.
So we will be hearing Straight Ahead in its purest form.
I believe so. Yeah. I mean, I think it's going to be really good. I mean, the show has to happen still, but the way it sounds in rehearsal, it's going to be great. We need to rehearse more.
Sure.
But we have months until it happens. We're going to rehearse like crazy.
It's interesting too, because in a genre that you might think is super guitar driven, the guitars on this recording are the quietest thing. You do a low pass, you don't hear guitars. You hear drums, bass, and vocals.
Until it's going.
Yeah, sure. But like there's a couple times where it's only guitars. The dynamic change is crazy.
Das can play. Well, first of all, Rob, his nickname is Das, D-A-S. We call him Das.
Okay.
That's always been his nickname, but Das can play like crazy. Das is such a good guitar player.
I've covered Straight Ahead, and there's shit I can't do, so I
Really?
just don't do it.
Playing guitar, you mean?
I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
he
not
does
gonna
all
bother
that
with it.
little stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I played with Rob back in like 1983. I used to jam with Rob. I met him through like an ad in a music paper, like the Long Island Press or whatever the hell it was, or whatever. He like put an ad looking for bass player, and I answered it like to play like punk and metal or whatever. You know what I mean? And I answered it, and I met up with him and Richie, the first bass player for Sick of It All. Richie was the other guitar player, and when I took the train to Long Island City to rehearse at the old Roxy Studio, Mike Sankowitz and Pete, Sick of It All, Pete Kohler, picked me up at the train. And I was like, what are you guys doing here? Because I knew them from the neighborhood because I was in a band in like 82 with a guy that lived down the block from Pete and Lou. This guy, John Pardini, we used to jam in his basement. I was like 13. I was like, what are you guys doing here? They're like, we're friends with these guys. I can't believe it's you. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, are these guys good? They're like, wait till you see these guys. And I was like, wow, okay. So we had this band Smegma early on.
Huh.
And we never played a show, but we rehearsed,
Okay.
We didn't have like a real singer or drummer. We kind of almost did, but it was like, it never really panned out, We had
Smegma,
shows
man.
booked. It never happened.
Wow.
Cleaned them out.
So 6 songs, 6 minutes. That's Breakaway. You want to talk about the writing of the actual songs? Is that you and Tommy together for the most part?
Yeah. That was the Tommy actually wrote, he came up with the idea for Right Idea
Okay.
and Breakaway. Tommy came in with both of those kind of, and he didn't really play an instrument, but he was like talking it to Armand, and I wasn't there or something. I was like doing something. I think I was playing a show, or maybe I was away or something. And Armand was like, Tommy wrote the bulk of these 2 songs. They're pretty good. And I was like, oh, cool. I listened to them. I was like, that's good. So I came in and I like changed them around a little and messed with them a little. But, he basically came up with the basic idea for Breakaway and Right Idea. And I added in parts and arranged them and stuff like that.
Whose idea was it to rewrite? What song is it that is Straight Ahead again? Is it
Think Right?
Think Right? Whose idea was it to turn Think Right into Straight Ahead?
Tommy, when he did that, it was like a new song when we recorded it. It was like a fairly new song. So Tommy just was like, he just wrote that, Think Right. Like that was like the working title. But, the band was called Straight Ahead and it said Straight Ahead. And so I was like, song's called Straight Ahead. Why does it say Think Right? He goes, I don't know. I just wrote that. Like, I was like, it's Straight Ahead. He's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. It was just like a mess up. You know what I mean?
But it's weird. But the song is like musically different on the OG version, right? It's like the Straight Ahead song is inside of it.
Yeah. Yes. All it is
inside
in the beginning, right after the slow part, it comes in with the punches. And on the EP version, we ring it. So we just did that. We did an extended ring out, like a Youth of Today, like Purcelli doing the fist down thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
totally.
American hardcore.
I really do.
Sometimes I play bass for Judge these days here and there when they when Matt can't play, I fill in for them. And I always, when I see Purcell, I always say American hardcore. He does that thing where he hits the chord like, when his arms down like that and he's looking at the ground. I'm always like American hardcore.
The bringing it down
yes.
cover.
I always say to him, I go, that's the American hardcore move. I go, you're like pure American hardcore. And he just laughs. I'm like, and like Sammy joins in. Sammy will be like, oh, this guy's pure American hardcore. I'm like, look at this guy. This guy's like the quintessential American hardcore guy.
I do that move once a set every Harm's Way show.
It's a great move.
It's just one of the moves.
Was Chuck the same guy who engineered the Chung King version of Bringing It Down?
Yes. Oh no, I don't know if he did the Chung King. I don't think he did I don't think he worked the Chung King, but I don't know. I don't think he worked with it. Because if he worked with Judge,
that whole fiasco.
They wouldn't have hated it if he worked with Judge. They wouldn't have hated it.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Gotcha.
How close are you and Armand? Almost 40 years later.
We're still very close. He's one of my closest friends, but Armand's the kind of guy. He's like, the kind of guy like, don't touch me. Oh, don't say that. You make me. He
So
gets,
you say it and you touch him, and
and he gets like, "Oh, get away from me, you're gross."
Yeah.
He's like he gets very uncomfortable and stuff like that. He's very like cold, but like in reality, like he sends my mother, him and his wife Brina, sweetheart. They send my mother a Christmas present every year, and they send her a Christmas card, separate from the present. So I'm always like, I'm like, you're not a bad guy. And he's like, stop, leave me alone. You know what I mean?
you're not a bad guy.
He's like, leave me alone. I'm like, you're a bad man, but you're not a bad guy. You know what I mean? He's sick of it all. Humor has a lot of layers. So,
Sure.
like I'm the talkative guy and sick of it all, the one that's an open book. The other guys are more quiet and a little more bah humbug. So the dynamic is pretty fun. We have some real comedy that goes on sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to his first time playing. He learned drums to play in a band with you.
Yeah. I mean, musically, Armand and I are like it's like somehow like before we were born, it was like, all right, I chose to be this guy. You chose to be that guy. We're going to see a lot of each other. It's like just happened that way. You know what I mean?
I feel like we all have those people. We all have the other one.
Yeah.
All of us. That's beautiful.
He could very easily be a guy though that I don't hear from for 5 years. That could happen too. Cause he's like,
but it hasn't.
He's a little psychotic. You know what I mean?
Okay.
It's a little crazy in there. But
he's not a bad guy.
But he's not a bad guy. He's not a bad guy.
Now, how fondly have you looked back at Straight Ahead for the last 40 years?
I think back to that. Sometimes I would occasionally put it on, like the End of Warzone thing, and it would give me goosebumps. I'd be like, wow, like listen to what I was doing when I was like a little kid. I was like, no wonder everybody likes this so much. It's really good. I like get excited. You know what I mean? Like from an outside perspective, I'm pretty damn happy with it. It's so energetic and there's so much, it's got like a bright, it bursts out. It pops like crazy,
So there's never been any resentment on your end towards Straight Ahead?
No, why would there be resentment?
I agree.
These are just questions we've always wondered. These are just.
I mean, I resent.
Where people look back at their old bands and they're like, that sucked. That wasn't.
No, I loved it.
But it defines them.
Tommy was like, when he was younger, he was like more of a hothead. So he would like, we'd be all getting along, and he'd be like, I don't want to do that, and get mad, and something would happen, and it would mess us up for a little bit, and we'd be like, I don't want to deal with this. He's going crazy again. You know what I mean? When he was young, because he was like a hyped up kid. So he would go crazy. He'd be like, what are you doing? Stop. So that kind of messed it up. But even when he would do that, once he calmed down, he could be like, yeah, I messed up. He was like always honest like that,
So so allegedly you broke up in the studio recording with Don Fury.
Correct. Yes.
What were you recording?
We were just rehearsing and playing new songs, and Don for like $5, he had these 2 mics in the corner, and he would like put a cassette in, and for $5 he would record the session. So we would like play the songs and record them. So it was like a rehearsal demo kind of thing. And I remember GB rehearsed. They had the session before us. They were rehearsing. I remember they hung around, and like I remember like Walter was like listening to the stuff, and he had like this look on his face. And I was like, what are you doing? He goes, I want to hear the new stuff. And he was like, I was like thinking to myself, oh, he really likes this band. He's excited like I am about this. So like I looked like everybody in the band loves this band. I kind of just knew it was good. He was here.
And you look at the live videos.
You can see
the
it.
Straight Ahead live videos. It's a who's who of moshers.
And like he was like listening to like we played like Knockdown for the first time like at that session probably, and with a song called More Important. And I remember him being like, "That's a new one. It's really good. There's fast, snappy changes." Like we were talking a little bit, and I remember it was cool. But then at the end of the session, Tommy got mad about something, and he argued with like me a little bit. And then Tommy was like, "I'll just stop doing this right now." And Rob was like, "Okay, we'll stop." And he like unplugged his guitar and left. And that was kind of the end of it. Weird as it was, it just kind of was like a typical argument we'd have. And not that we argued a lot, but it was one of those like little things where everyone gets heated. We're all excited,
Yeah.
And then that was just the end of it, And then
what year was that?
87? Right?
87, yeah. That was 87. Okay. Probably like the spring or summer of 87, late spring, maybe, I guess.
It all happened so fast.
So it seemed like a long time.
So should we get to the reunion or should we move on to what he's doing in between? You know what I mean?
No, I mean, the reunion's 1 year later.
Like a year and some change.
Yeah,
later.
what are you doing in that year?
So what happened was that stopped happening, and like a little bit of time went by where I wasn't in the band, like a few months. And Todd, I was good friends with Todd Youth, rest his soul. We used to hang out all the time, and we'd hang out in the park. And I remember a little side story. We'd hang out in the park all the time, and I'd sleep at Ray B's house, because like I'd stay in the city all the weekend. I'd sleep on his couch or whatever, and we'd always see the guy handing out the pot of soup, the guy with the long, straight blonde hair sitting on the other bench. All the hardcore kids were on one side, and like the homeless kind of guys, not really homeless, but like the LES like guys. And there was this guy, Daniel Rakowitz, and turns out he was a serial killer, right? You can look him up. He was a serial killer. And he would always have like a big pot with a ladle and like some like paper bowls or whatever. Yeah. And he would hand out like soup or stew, whatever. And he'd always like look at us. He didn't really say much because he looked crazy, but he'd be like, he'd like nod his head and offer us soup. And we'd always say no. He was handing out soup to the homeless, and it was homeless people that he killed. He would make soup out of them. And if you look him up, he would hang, he got arrested in like whatever, 87, 88. He would hang out in the park in like 86 and like feed homeless people soup to people, homeless people.
Holy shit.
So like me and Todd would always see him, you know what I mean? Like everybody knows, everyone from back then knows about this guy. Yeah, Daniel Rakowitz was his name.
And nobody ever had a bowl. Nobody on the hardcore kids side had a bowl.
I didn't. Nobody I know had a bowl. Like I looked like I'm not even this guy. This guy was like, he looked like a nut. Like if you look at pictures of him, he looked like blondie Jesus. You know what I mean? I was like, this guy's a nut. I'm not.
So any rational person would be like, well, clearly I'm not eating this man's soup.
Oh,
yeah,
man.
yeah. But he would hang out with all the old time, like Lower East Side, like homeless guys and street guys, and just like back then it was like a whole kind of cultural thing, I guess. You'd say.
Craig, can I ask you, what was the Lower East Side like at this time? We hear tales, we hear legends. My mom went to NYU 80 to 82. She was petrified. You know what I mean? Like she would go to CB's, but it was scary. It was like the scary thing to do. What was it like at that time?
My mom went to NYU in about 80 to 79 to like 82.
Look at that.
I wonder
about that?
Wendy.
My mother was the president of the student council and the student senator at the same time.
Oh, they knew each other.
Wow.
They probably knew each other.
She was a little art new wave
Bad
kind of
egg.
Was she young at the time?
She was very young at the time, yeah.
Okay, my mother was 40, so my mother was like going to school for her own enjoyment, so she got straight A's, 4.0 grade average.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
So my mother was like the older lady going to school for just because, like, midlife enjoyment.
Yeah,
I guess.
Sure,
totally.
Sure.
But your mother might be like, oh, I remember that lady.
Well, it's funny
with the German accent. She like ran the whole thing.
Oh, interesting. So it's funny you should say that because she would. When she would tell me about this time in her life, she'd say, I remembered Agnostic something and the band with the black guys. And I had to be like, Mom.
Wow.
But she said she would go to like Blondie. She would see, kind of, she wasn't like a punk or anything. She was an art kid and like a new wave kind of kid. And she said, I remember the hardcore guys. They were scary because they lived on the street and you avoided them.
Yeah, she'd see Blondie, the Ramones, Talking Heads, probably.
Talking Heads,
like that,
yeah. Dead Boys, maybe. Kind of like that kind of thing.
That's hard. Yeah.
But what?
The bands that people romanticize playing CBGBs, but not the ones that kept the doors,
the place open. Yeah,
so
right.
Yeah.
So she would tell me stories. I want to hear from you. Like, what was it like being a young person at this time?
Well, it was scary. I was like a little kid, and I would hang out. Like Ray had his finger on the pulse, so he worked at the Pyramid Club just across the street from the park. So I kind of had like people there. You know what I mean? Like I kind of had like an inside track, but it was dangerous. You had to be careful. It was, I always had a group of friends I was hanging out with, but you had to be careful. It was definitely dangerous. You could, if you didn't know how to carry yourself, and I'm not talking about being tough because I was like a 15, 16-year-old kid. There was nothing tough about me back then. Mm-hmm. But you just got to like know to not stick your nose where it doesn't belong and let things develop how they happen. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So it had a vibe to it. There was like stuff happening. It was like a petri dish, music, art. There was so much happening all over the place. We'd like walk down the block. You'd go to this club, you'd go to that club, you'd go to this place to eat, you'd go here, there'd be something popping off. There was things happening everywhere all the time. Like the whole summer of 86, I just basically lived in the city, and every night I had something to do. There was always something happening. New York City in the 80s was incredible. I mean, what a beautiful place. I mean, it was like everything was blossoming. It was so great. And, you know, people say to me that don't know about this music, people I know in like regular walks of life, they're like, oh, you're this like musician. They say like, oh, my brother-in-law, like my brother-in-law, the rock star. And I'm like, it makes me feel weird. Yeah. But I'm like, they're like, how did you do that? Like, how was it you that got popular in these bands? I go, it's time and place. I was in the right place at the right time, and I was drawn to something that was about to explode. And I was one of the few guys that was that I could express myself through an instrument pretty well. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so like that, you know, it was just time and place, man. Everything was popping off. Like it had a smell.
Old New York.
It had a smell. It had a feel.
The tallest buildings in the world. So says Roger Moret.
I get guys. That's great. Don't get me. So we'll get it to AF if you want. Just give me a.
Yeah, no, that's coming. That's coming real quick.
There's a little trauma. I got to kind of keep my hands up a little bit. But like back then, there was so much happening. It was such a beautiful time, and it was time and place, man. I forget what else I was going to say.
No,
it's beautiful.
You always hear horror stories. You hear, there were cars on fire and buildings burned down. And,
that was happening. If you were that kind of guy, you'd be in that.
But as you know, as somebody who was going into Chicago when I was 13, 14, going to shows and doing stuff and going to places that were like, my dad would take me to like Colin, where we went to the Fireside, and it was like, you're going where? You know, and it's like, no, I have such happy nostalgia. I'm not comparing 80s New York to Chicago in any way, but I like hearing the romance about it from your point of view, from because I can understand that. You know,
Chicago was good when I was young, and so I went to Chicago first in like '86. I remember the food was good and the shows were good and everyone was cool. But there was an undertone there as well. You could tell bad things could pop off. I had a couple of situations in Chicago over the years where I was like, okay, this could really get crazy really fast. You know, so you got to you got to mind your P's and Q's. Like I was never a guy. People saw me when I came to hardcore. I was this little kid with like wide eyes. All I wanted to do was play music. I wanted to play music, and I was like a freak. I was a kid from a broken home in Queens. I didn't want to play music. Like I wasn't cool. I wasn't a cool kid. I was like a misfit. And when I came to hardcore, people just looked like, hey, kid, come here. Hey, oh, you're enthusiastic. You play really well. People embraced me, and they really looked like, oh, this kid's special. They saw me for what I was trying to do. They saw my heart. So it's the only place I ever went in life where I was really recognized for my talents. I don't mean talent as a player. I mean, like, they saw and appreciated what was coming out of me, what I was trying to give. And that's what's beautiful about hardcore. That's what makes it so unique. It's simple music by misfits, and there's a lot of beauty that comes through it. There's pain, there's everything. You know what I mean? That's what makes it such a beautiful movement, the way I see it and the way I came into it, you know?
It's the only genre where if you stick around long enough and if you work hard enough, you will go from the pit to the stage or somewhere, some higher echelon in music in your life. If you're cool and you work hard and you're pleasant to be around, you're going to be fine.
Being cool is the thing. Like everyone talks, New York was so dangerous. You were a little kid hanging out in the park at 3 a.m. I'm like, I was just.
You got to be a cool kid to hang out in the park.
Cool. Like, I wasn't making. I wasn't making trouble. I was. Right. People saw who I was. I was a kid that wanted to play music, and I was there for good reasons. So I never had problems with people. You know, I mean, I had a fight or two in hardcore, a couple fights over the years, but that was never like something that really I was involved in heavily because I always thought it was dumb. I was like, yeah, you're going to ruin the show. What are you doing? I want to play the show.
Sure.
Genuine.
I never disrespected anybody. I was always nice to everybody. I treated everyone with respect. Even people that wound up being enemies to me, I was not enemies, but I was always nice to everybody. I never disrespected anybody. And that's the truth.
Beautiful.
Can't be friends with everybody though. Hey.
No. Friend to all, friend to none. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Before we get into AF, Straight Ahead decides to do a reunion show in 1988 at CBGB's. One of my most watched YouTube videos of all time having to do with music.
I saw the episode.
It's like Metallica 89. Yeah, that's right. It's like
Probably watched it
Metallica
twice.
89. Yeah. And then the Straight Ahead video in like Bad Brains in 82. How did the ball get rolling with that? Did you, how you guys smoothed over the spat? You just decided, fuck it, we'll do one more? Or what was it?
We were always friends. It wasn't like, it wasn't like after that happened, like we didn't talk. Like Tommy called me the next week, like, yo, what are you doing? We were still friends. And it just didn't turn into like, hey, we're rehearsing this week. I think Rob was like kind of Armand were like, this is too volatile, What happened was it was like the benefit. What was that? The Roger benefit or the Pete benefit?
The Pete's sake.
That's right.
Yeah. So all these bands were playing and we were there and, it was sort of like, yeah, we'll get up and bust out a couple of songs. So like we just got up and we're like, okay, let's go. Like grab whatever instruments were.
Not on the bill. You just
I don't think we were on the bill. It might have been talked about as, hey, you want to jump up and play a few songs? Like, yeah, okay. We'll just pop up and play three songs or whatever.
Yeah.
And I just, I couldn't even move. I was like,
the place is packed and explodes.
Everybody everywhere tear this place down.
And they did.
Tommy accidentally really said the right thing. Yeah, it's kind of iconic, I gotta say.
I was gonna ask about that. Like, was that something he would? How many shows did Straight Ahead play?
I don't know exactly, but I'm gonna guess he played a few, 10, 20.
Okay. Is that something he would intro sets with
No,
or
he
intro
never
that song
said that
with?
before or after.
Unbelievable.
Just came out of nowhere,
Changed the world by accident. Yeah, as far as memorable sets go, where does this sit in your mind and in your Rolodex?
That was the era where when you play a show, you had no room to move, and it was kind of frustrating because I want to jump around. But
yeah,
that was pretty classic. I almost felt like, wow, people are pushing me out of the way to play my own song. You know what I mean? It was a little weird in a way, but people were so enthusiastic. I was like, this is pretty cool. Like, it didn't feel as good as you might think it felt because it was so crowded that you were just trying to not get knocked over and finish the song. But yeah, that was a great time. Like, it's like the guy that was on stage, what was his name again? He was like a cop in Arizona years later. And I saw him when we played out there. It was like Sick of Little and Madball playing. And I saw him. I'm like, yo, what's up? I haven't seen since the 80s. And he was like, the last time I saw him was probably at that show.
Whoa.
We were chopping it up about it. And it was pretty. I was like, you're in the video. You're like the guy standing right there, like holding people. Classic stuff.
So what you see this reaction and you guys are like, all right, let's never do that again.
I just think that we were like, oh, that was great. That was fun. Yeah. It was, like it just made you feel like, yeah, that band was really good.
Okay.
The reason we never did it again is because I was was I in AF then or no? No, I wasn't.
No, because this is 88 and that was 92.
Right.
I joined AF in 87. So I was probably in AF.
87.
Well,
I joined AF in the fall of 87.
Were you on
when I was born.
Liberty and Justice?
I joined right when they came back from the studio recording Liberty and Justice.
Okay.
So they came back from the studio recording Liberty and Justice, and I said, hey, let me redo the bass tracks. And Roger was like too cheap to pay for it. He's like, I don't want to. He didn't want to pay for it. It would cost him a few $100s,
Wow.
But that's my
so when recently Mike DeJean described playing for AF for the first time as getting his wings.
That's a nice way to put it.
Is that how you looked at it at the time?
All right, so I went into AF with sneakers and I came out with boots.
There we go.
I made a man out of me. That's where I learned.
Quote of the episode right there. Good Lord.
That's where I learned like a lot of stuff. I learned like, you can be cool, but don't take too much shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you got to punch somebody in the face, make it count. You know what I mean? So, not to sound negative, but those are the kind of lessons you learned in that band. You know what I mean? Don't take too much shit.
AF has obviously existed at this point for a while. They're a legacy band already. Are they the New York band to you, or is it Murphy's Law at this point already?
No, to me, when it comes to New York hardcore, the flagship, when you see the video of the flag being planted on the moon, allegedly, I don't know.
Hey,
and there's a lot of controversy.
Who knows?
Whatever.
We could get into it.
Not my bag. Not my bag. Not
That
my
is
bag.
my bag,
I'm
baby.
just saying it for anybody.
I know one of your
listening.
bags that we're going to talk about later.
Okay.
That I'm
Whatever people,
excited for.
I'm just saying, like, however you want to do, that's your business.
Yeah.
But Victim in Pain is like the
That's
flag of New York hardcore on the world. To
Okay.
me, Victim in Pain is the ultimate representation of New York hardcore.
So when you get the opportunity to play for them, getting your wings or whatever, getting called up to the, like, does it feel like, oh shit, this is big leagues or anything?
I mean, back when this is what happened. So I was trying to tell this earlier when we were talking about Todd and hanging out in the park, but we're moving fast and I'm feeling good, so it's happening. So Todd one day like calls me. He goes, "Hey, you play bass for Murphy's Law now? Like you can play because they need a bass player. You know what I mean?" And Russell, I guess, wasn't in the band anymore. I don't remember exactly what happened, but he's like, "You play in Murphy's Law now, so come down to the studio. We're gonna try out next week." I go, "Okay, great."
You play in Murphy's Law now.
Yeah, he's like, "You play in Murphy's Law. You play with me and Jimmy." I was like, "Yeah, okay, great." So I was super excited. Now, back when I was little, and the first time Stigma was at the first show I ever played at CB's. And I played a show at CB's, and I think it was 84, and Stigma was there, and he was singing along and piling up to the songs, the Mayhem songs. Even though we didn't have a front man, people like grabbed my mic and sang, right? So I was like, afterwards, I was like, "How do you know all the words?" He's like, "I bought you a demo outside like a couple of weeks ago. Tommy was selling the demo. I think Tommy gave him one." So Stigma, the first time I played CB's, sang along and
to Mayhem.
To Mayhem, Marsh.
Dude, Stigma OG death metal head.
No, this was Mayhem. Mayhem was like, this was Mayhem when I was in the band. So it had metal. So, it was like crossover. Okay. It was like metal and hardcore mixed. It was like heavy hardcore. It sounded like the Offenders or something. Right. For lack of a better, whatever.
Sure.
So, so Stigma sang along. And then he said to me, he goes, "Kid, you play that bass great." He goes, "You jump high. I could see how much you love this." He's like, "One day you're going to be in my band, kid." So he would always, whenever he'd see me, he'd be like, kid, what are you doing?" He goes, "Kid, you're going to be in my band one day. I'm telling you." And I'd always be like, yeah. And like, he'd like stomp his foot and yell, "Skinhead." And I'd like jump back. I'd be like, "What?" And he'd laugh. He'd be like, "I like you. You're good. You're my friend." So I was always friends with Stigma. And he always told me I was going to be in his band. So I tried out for Murphy's Law. And Chuck tried out the same night. He tried out both me and Chuck Val, the late and very great Chuck Val. And let me say, I've said this before, I say with the utmost pride that the Better Man won. Chuck got that gig, and that was the only time I ever tried out for a band and didn't get the gig in my life because the Better Man won. Chuck Val.
Wow.
Rest in peace, my friend.
Rest in peace, Chuck.
So I was coming home from the rehearsal, and they hadn't said anything yet. They had, "Hey, we're going to do another rehearsal. We're going to try you both out. You both sounded great, blah, blah, blah." And, I didn't smoke a joint at the end of the rehearsal. Chuck did. I think that might have had something to do with it. But so I'm coming home, and back then I kept my bass in a cardboard box with an open top cardboard box. I didn't have a case or anything. I just had I'd carry it on the subway in a cardboard box. So I'm coming home, and I'm walking up the stairs. I lived in like an apartment, like a garden apartment in Queens, like second story. I'm coming up the apartment, and my mother opens his door, and she's like, "Craig, Vinny Stigma's on the phone for you." And I'm like, "Vinny's on the phone." I go, "Hold on, I'm coming up." I grab the phone. I go, "Vinny, what's up?" He goes, "Kid, He goes, "I know you were just with Jimmy." Vinny goes, "I just talked to Jimmy, and you're with me now, kid." They go, "Chuck, the other kid, he's with Jimmy. And you're with me now, kid." He goes, "I told you you'd be in Agnostic Front one day." And I was like, "Oh shit, I'm in Agnostic Front now."
Wow.
And that was it. And I rehearsed.
He just said, "You're with me now."
Yeah, you're with me now. You're with me now.
That's like the ultimate good news, bad news.
Well, it was all good news because Vinny's, great. And and let me just say before I even have some fun with this, I love Roger. He's my friend. Roger's my friend. I'll do anything for him. He'll pretty much do anything for me. I love the guy. Don't tell him I said that, Roger. Don't tell him I said that. But so I went and rehearsed with him, and it sounded great. And Roger gave me a hard time. He was like, "This kid, he's too clean. Look at how clean this kid is." He's like, "This kid's a pussy. Look at how clean he is." And I'm like, he was always cool with me. I'm like, "What are you being an asshole for?" He's like, "No, you play good." He's like, "It's good. It'll work out." Vinny wanted you in the band, not me. I'm like, "What?" And he's like talking shit to me the whole way. And, Vinny's like, "Shut the fuck up. This kid's great. I'll have him kick your ass." So the dynamic turned into like a comedy three-way kind of thing. Right off out of the gate, it was fun and funny.
The ball busting had to begin right away.
Yeah.
And Roger would always be like, "I didn't want you in the band. You were like a clean cut pussy." I was like, "That's great." But so I played with them, and we went on tour, and Stigma made me smoke that joint with him. And
tell me about the touring on Liberty and Justice and with AF these first few years.
Is this the most touring you did with a band? Until later.
Before
obviously?
that, I went to the West Coast with Youth of Today, and I played an East Coast and Southern tour with Youth of Today. I did the West Coast with them, straight ahead, did tri-state area gigs. So I had played in California, down south, and Florida and the East Coast, and so I toured with them, and we'd go in a van, and it was just shenanigans, just complete fun. Willie was playing drums. Steve Martin was playing guitar before Matty Henderson. And, I would meet up with Steve a lot, and we'd go pick up Vinny, and it was a lot of fun. I mean, we had a lot of fun, a lot of ball busting, a lot of comedy. And I don't remember what the first show was, but I just remember going on tour in like a van with gear in the back and a pit bull. And it was like a lot of touring. We just toured nonstop. We went to Europe for the first time in '90. So that's when Europe kind of started breaking open. And we'd play do whole US tours where we'd be on the road for 2 months.
Yeah.
In a van, old school.
Is it being booked on the go, or how is this working?
It's being booked before, but some of it's taking shape as you go.
Yeah,
most of it is pre-set up, but there's a lot of this fell out, this came in. I remember going down to Florida, and Roger's Cuban, so we'd stay with his family, and his mother would cook, and we'd have Cuban food that was just incredible.
Oh.
And we'd hang out with the Cuban people down there that his family knew, so we'd always be eating well, and that was really nice.
Is this the era of calling cards?
Yeah.
And all that that kind of about the calling card scams, Colin? Yeah.
So the way it worked with that was, you guys know Dave Stein, rest his soul.
Yeah, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Dave Stein was a great man, good friend. And so he was the guy who basically put Albany on the map for hardcore. He would book shows, and then Steve Reddy was his understudy. So Steve Reddy was his understudy, and those guys would book Albany shows. And I knew those guys from Straight Ahead and mostly Youth of Today playing Albany. So he would get the calling cards. He would get the lists. And he'd give bands across the country the list so they could book their tour on payphones.
Amazing.
And it was old school. And you'd get the list. And if I got the list, since he was in Albany, I'd get the list maybe a little late. Roger would get it and then give it to me, or Ray would get it and give it to me. So I would get the list 2 days later and 3 days later, as long as it took to mail it down. And whoever he gave it to first would already. So you'd start the list backwards. Or you'd start the list in the middle and work your way down and then back. So you had to be creative.
You got to beat the other guys.
You got to beat the other guys to book. Okay. But he would hook up West Coast. He'd hook up bands all across the country. He was just doing it for the scene. So
now is this is Kevin Seconds out here?
Yes.
etc.
Everybody,
just the guy in each city.
The guy in each city. He was would use the Dave Stein calling cards.
Wow. Man. Dave Stein, R.I.P. Changes the game.
Great guy. And Steve Reddy was his understudy. So Steve Reddy's basically the same kind of guy. Steve Reddy's one of the greatest human beings in the world.
So One Voice is right around the corner, which means they recruit Matt Henderson.
Yeah, what happened was we played 87, 88, and then Roger had some legal trouble, so we stopped playing for 18 months. He was incarcerated for 18 months. So during that time, I played in Rest in Pieces with Armand. So I was doing that, and I played a few Sick of It All shows where Richie couldn't play, so I'd fill in on bass. So I was always, I played I think I was one weekend. I played 2 or 3 shows on a weekend, and maybe one other show. It was just a couple of shows, but we were all old friends, so I jumped in on that, and that kind of set the tone for that later on, I think.
Yeah.
So Rest in Pieces, you do Under My Skin at this time.
Yeah, we did Under My Skin at that time. And it came out okay. I just feel like it was one of those recordings that really just there wasn't magic in the studio. You know what I mean? It just was captured on a bad day. It just didn't really come. I mean, not that it's a bad record, but it's not as I feel like the first record, it was
I mean, it's not on streaming, and the first one is basically.
Yeah, right.
And this dude, what's interesting is it's like so opposite to Straight Ahead. If you even look at just like the song lengths, it's like 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes.
But that's the beauty of hardcore. Armand had his way of writing songs. I had my way of writing songs. It was like a different. He was a little more like writing more traditional songs. You know what I mean?
Structurally,
structurally a little more intricate, like more traditional verse, chorus, verse, bridge, lead. You know,
sure.
Where Straight Ahead was just like, you know, the structure was, the structure was whatever I felt would sound good. I wasn't worried about like verse chorus. I've written songs that are verse chorus throughout my life, a lot of them, but at that point, I just wanted to write just fucking blistering hardcore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's awesome. Pardon this interruption. We hate to interrupt one of the greatest episodes in the history of the show, but we have some very important news. This month is Independent Ad Month.
That's year, right. New ads.
That's right. They're all independently owned by friends, friends of friends, and hardcore kids. And honestly, we wish every month on the show was Independent Ad Month. So if you want to sponsor the show, hit us up.
Just let us
an
know.
Email.
Yeah, it's down there. It's out there.
It's right there. First up, Timeless Coffee.
Brand new. We're very excited about this.
This is first time, long time here. I've been drinking Timeless for many years. Because as many of you know, many of you may not know, Timeless is the very first all-vegan roastery and bakery in the country.
They sent us a little care package, tried the cookies, tried some beans. My place smells great. Everything was delicious.
Dude, the cookies, you kidding me?
The cookies are baked and shipped within 24 hours of being ordered.
That's right. And if you use code HardLore site-wide, you're going to get 15% off. And if your order is over $40, you're going to get free shipping.
Guess what? That's a medium-sized bag of beans.
You're
going to get that free shipping. Also, for anybody who lives in the Bay Area or really just kind of anywhere around either of the Timeless locations, you can place an order and just go and pick it up. Just go and enjoy. Go and check it out. Tell them HardLore sent you.
Not only for coffee, not only for cookies, but they do these beautiful custom cakes.
Really?
Oh my God. Look at some of them here. It's insane. I want one right now. I may take a drive. I'll let you know if I do. They also offer coffee subscriptions. You can get one for yourself or you can give one for somebody else.
You know what I like is the fact that if you already have the subscription, you can still use code HardLore and you get even further savings.
It's unbelievable. They offer multiple blends, multiple grind sizes, multiple bag sizes, multiple frequency options. Timeless Coffee. DIY hardcore punk ethics run through the bones and the DNA of this beautiful company. Even some of the vocalists of some of your favorite bands have also worked there. Joseph from Tsunami roasted there for 6 years.
I didn't even know that.
Brandon from Big Boy, Coffee Head.
Yeah.
He was there, dude.
Can I tell you something?
Please.
He was there.
I can tell you something. Mm-hmm. Timeless Coffee, HardLore, 15% off. This episode is also brought to you by Mills Vintage, the greatest collection of vintage hardcore punk metal memorabilia on the internet in existence. Also, just an incredible archive for old hardcore designs.
Very good.
Often for reference.
Very good point. Mills Vintage is one of the most curated collections of vintage shirts I've actually ever seen. It's incredible.
It's for ball knowers by ball knowers.
Yeah.
Vic, I've known for half of my life now. He is he's a hardcore lifer. Mm-hmm. He's put in the work. He knows everything about every shirt. So if you have a question, just send the shop a message. Mm-hmm. He wants to buy your stuff too. So send him some pics. He'll take it off your hands. We'll get it from you. Mm-hmm. If you're in New York or LA, stop by the store, get something in person, try it on.
That's right. For anybody who saw our episodes with Speed or Chappelle Lacey, we visited the Varsity location in California and we visited Mills Vintage. We went through everything in there.
I've given this man my life savings. I don't have a 401k. I have 401,000 shirts from Mills Vintage and our beloved Mad Vintage. So visit millsvintageusa.com and use code HardLore to get 15% off site-wide on some of the greatest hardcore punk metal shirts ever made. Tell me about Matt Henderson getting into the fold, because this man's brain...
Yeah, so Roger went away and Roger went away for 18 months. And Roger actually, his case was overturned. It was like considered a wrongful conviction. It was overturned, and he was let out. Because it was like it was a very famous case actually. Roger's case is like cited. It's like a legally cited case of imprisonment that was overturned because it wasn't legally. It wasn't a just incarceration.
Was it the state going after him, or was it?
It was the state. It was the state going after him. It was the state. But it turns out it was like the procedures were done illegally, and he should have never went to jail.
Wow.
So this is like a Law and Order SVU where they're looking back and they're like, actually, if you look back at New York versus Roger Moret,
Roger
you'll
Moret,
find that
Gonzalez,
this sets a precedent.
There's like 8
for this.
names. There's 8 names you don't know. Got like 8 last names that you don't know.
Okay.
That's okay. Straight from Cuba. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
wow, that's amazing.
So
that's rare.
It's rare.
Yeah.
It's rare.
Right.
So Roger comes back, and Steve Martin wasn't doing it because Steve Martin had started his own PR company. And so we tried out 1 million guys, and we didn't take anybody. We were going to take this one guy, Andre, who was a painter, a nice guy, Southpaw guitar player, played lefty, cool guy. But he had his painting business, and he wasn't the perfect guy for the thing, but he was a cool guy and he played well. So what happened was, Matt, the whole time Roger kept saying, no, this kid from Minnesota, Blind Approach, this kid, Matty, he's the kid. But like 6 months went by, and I was like, yo, this guy doesn't exist. Like, what do you, like, you keep talking like this doesn't matter. And he was like, don't worry, the kid's going to come in. I was like, this kid doesn't even exist. Like, we were arguing with him. Me and Willie would be like, what's this guy talking about? Where's the guy? Produce him already.
Yeah.
So at one point, he's like, oh, like, it was almost like he was fumbling his words. Like, oh, Thursday, you got to meet this guy over here at the Staten Island Ferry. I was like, what? It's like, what are you trying to, like, what are you going to, somebody going to, like, stick a knife in my back? Like, what are you setting me up for? It didn't seem right. You know what I mean? I was like, what? But it turns out Matty came in, and I think he came to Stigma's apartment. We all met him. We got some pizza. We hung out. We talked to him for a little bit. So we had to take the subway to the Staten Island Ferry. We were rehearsing in Staten Island. That's when Roger was in Staten Island. So we take the Staten Island Ferry there, and we're talking the whole time. And I'm talking to him a lot. He's asking me a lot of questions and stuff. So we rehearse, and it was kind of up to me. Vinny would always say, kid, when we try these guys out, you let me know if he's right, Vinny would always kind of lean on me for the music part of it, and obviously Willie. Mm-hmm. And so we played the Eliminator, I think it was. We played the Eliminator, and, we finished the song, and Vinny looks at me, and I just shook my head, and I looked at Willie, and Willie just smiled. And I was like, all right, so you want to be in the band? He was like, yeah. And Vinny's like, hey, the kid says you're the guy. And he was like, yeah, okay. And here's a little joke, but Matty always talks about, he goes, that day I didn't know because, my life was going to go down a different path. He goes, but I said to my mother when I called her, I go, well, the bass player seems like a reasonable guy, so I think I'm going to do it. And I'm always like, Matty, I'm sorry. I ruined your life. You should have ran. I should have warned you. We laughed,
Yeah, but dude, that day, defined almost like what hardcore sounds like now.
Yeah.
Matty can really play. Like when we played with him, I was like, oh, there are a handful of guys you play with. You guys probably know this, you musicians. Yeah. You play with certain guys where you're like, oh, this guy fits with me perfect. Yeah. Armand is like that. Armand and both Rob Das are like that. They just fit perfectly. Willie's another guy. When I play with Willie, it's just, I play with him in that band, The Take now. It's just, he's so easy to play with. It's just, we fit together. It just sounds right. Matty Henderson is another one of those guys. When you play with him, it's just there. You don't have to worry
his
about
writing style, man.
Yeah, it's perfect.
You don't have to worry
Tell me about writing
certain
one
guys.
voice.
It was basically me and Matty locked up in Staten Island for months with Roger, like shutting the door and be like, yo, man, I'm no lunch for you guys unless you finish 2 songs. I'd be like, yo, shut up, get out of here. You know what I mean? But he'd be like, yo, sometimes Roger can pull some shit and you can't really stop him. You know what I mean? So he'd be like,
it worked.
It worked.
It
was slave driving me and Matty, and a bunch of crazy stuff happened. It took some weird turns here and there, but in the end, we finished the album. And me and Matty basically wrote the whole album. Roger wrote 1 or 2 songs that were really good. And Todd Youth, rest his soul, wrote a song or 2. and came out really good. I mean,
Unbelievable.
I'm not happy with my bass sound on it, but it was a fun time. You
didn't have the Chuck doing the SVT and the board and Big Red there.
The bass sound I got, it was Don Fury doing it. Don Fury, as great as he is in his own element, at Normandy, it was a little clash between him and like Tom Soares, or that didn't really work too well. The combination.
Man, Don did One Voice.
He was involved in it. Yeah, he like produced it, but Tom Soares was engineering, and the two of them didn't really see eye to eye on technique because Don Fury had his way from his basement.
Yeah,
Tom Soares is like a Grammy award winning radio producer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Two different like levels and approaches. You know what I mean? But both had their own way, but the two approaches didn't mix too well. That's why my bass.
It sounds great.
I didn't like my bass sound, but I like the album. The album's fun. The songs are pretty good. You know what I mean? I think people in Europe love that record.
Oh yeah.
People in Europe.
and then Madball stole him, and then the rest is history, right?
Yeah. Madball, it's a whole other thing. You know what I mean?
Oh, yes,
like, I was in the original Madball. Like they would play in Europe, and I would like play. Roger would play bass, right? So Roger played bass, and they'd use my bass. So they said to me, they go, Scully. They called me Scully. That's my nickname, and I have. They go, Scully, bring Red to the recording. You're going to play bass, right? I go, I'm going to play on the first 7-inch. I go, cool. All right, yeah, I'll bring Red. So I show up at Red, and Stigma goes, kid, you're out of the band. We're throwing you out of the band. I go, I was never in the band. They go, you're not playing on the record. Roger's playing on the record. We just wanted to use Red. And I'm like, so my Red bass is on the first Madball 7-inch.
Really?
Wow.
And that's the straight ahead bass?
Straight ahead bass. It's
so Ball of Destruction is the straight ahead bass.
Yes, and Red is on all the straight ahead stuff. Red is also on like a bunch of the Sick of It All albums, and like I've played it through. Not every album, but most of them. You know what I mean?
I love tales of these instruments that have names that are like
Red's
like Game of Thrones or something.
Listen, I just hung on to Red blowing in the wind throughout my entire career. Red's the one that did it all. I'm just like
Mjolnir.
I'm just hanging on.
Yeah.
Anduril.
So and then I was like, shit. I was in the band for a minute, but they kicked me out. And and Mark Ryan was there from Super Touch. So Stigma's like, don't worry, kid. You and Mark are going to sing backups. So me and Mark Ryan sang backups, and they used my Red bass for that.
All right.
There you go.
You're still on there.
Yeah.
Somebody I want to give their flowers to that I'm hoping you can tell us about is BJ Pappas.
Oh, she's great. I love BJ. One of my
that's like
friends.
the GOAT hardcore photographer of all time.
BJ is she's a girl. She was living in Astoria, old school hardcore girl, friend of ours, sweetest girl in the world, sweet as pie. I love her. I still talk to her to this day. She just loved photography, and she was at every show, and she would take photos all the time. And she was like part of the crew. You know what I mean? Everybody's friends with her. She mixed all those different groups of people together. Back then it was all one group, but she was AF. She was, straight ahead. She was Sick of It All. She was Killing Time. She was everything,
She took 90%, 99% probably of like iconic hardcore promo photos from New York.
Yeah, Brooke Smith also did a lot of photography. Brooke Smith?
Yes.
She was the girl that was she was an actress. She was in Silence of the Lambs. She was the girl in the pit.
She was one of the Warzone women, right? She's in Grey's Anatomy as well.
Yes. She was the one in the pit when she's going, when the guy's going, it puts the lotion in the basket. She's like, I'll kill your dog, mister.
Yeah.
That's Brooke. She was
Dr.
Catherine
Arizona Robbins.
Yeah, she's like an old school hardcore girl. She's great.
Yeah.
I think Sounds of Lamb, she's Catherine Martin is the
the senator's daughter.
Senator's daughter. Wow.
She gets captured, and put in the pit, And wow. Yeah, it's like a strange world. But it was all back then. It was all musicians, actors, artists, like we were talking about earlier. That's the scene we were all a part of. It was all mixed up scene, everybody was together. It was, it was melting pot, every race of person, every ethnicity, every style, that nobody discriminated against anybody. Everybody was welcome, and that was the beauty of it. We were all misfits. We were all part of this scene, and everybody had something to contribute. It was a beautiful thing. Art, music, it was all mashed together,
Quick sidebar, sidebar, before we jump into Sick of It All. Were you running into Peter Steele at any point at this time? I imagine so.
I remember him coming around. I saw Carnivore play when I was young at like L'Amour's or something like that. I went to one of those shows probably in 80. I don't know, maybe, I don't know what year that was. It was mid 80s at some point. Mm-hmm. And he was coming to CB's when he was doing that Cause for Alarm album with those guys. I never really spoke to him outside of like, hey, maybe in a group of people, pass a word or two. But, you know, he was very tall. He was a really big guy. But everyone says he was a really nice guy, but I never like sat down with him outside of passing a few words in a group of people talking.
He's a guy we would love to talk to that we'll obviously never get the chance to. So anytime we get the opportunity to ask, we ask, you know.
Yeah. I didn't really know him, but I hear great things about him. Everyone loved him.
Right on.
You know, and he was in 85, he was coming to CB's for the whole summer pretty much when he played.
He was pretty skinned up for a while.
Carnival was like kind of like a weird hardcore band.
Yeah, adjacent.
Crossover, first gen crossover.
Brooklyn is Brooklyn. Brooklyn's very adjacent to hardcore. They're not hardcore, but they are hardcore at the same time. It's like this. It's this like brother. It's like this adjacent brother scene. You know.
I've always wondered about that.
Nobody can play a slow groove like Brooklyn guys. I got to give it to them. You know.
Yeah.
Like, look,
I mean, Biohazard was so
they crushed that stuff.
Yeah.
Biohazard was so popular so fast that like death every genre started doing the like.
I mean, yeah, I never met a guy from Brooklyn I didn't like. I mean, like Biohazard, Life Agony. I love these people.
All right, let's get into it, because throughout all of your time in AF, Sick of It All has touring the world on Blood, Sweat, No Tears, and Just Look Around, and is this group of people you've known forever.
Yes.
Basically, setting an example of what New York hardcore is capable of on a worldwide scale.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, they're putting in their work, that's for sure. They toured with AF when I was in AF. We toured together, played Canada. It was like sub-zero, freezing cold. Like we played a lot of shows together, AF and Sick of It All. And those are my boys.
You're filling in for them every now and then.
Yeah, I played a few shows with them. You know, like when they recorded Blood, Sweat, and No Tears, they were like, hey, we're doing our album. Like Howie Abrams, you know, he did that In Effect thing. And that was like, because Howie always was an industry guy with his finger on the pulse, but he's a hardcore guy first and foremost. You know, I've known Howie since probably 1984, since I was little. He used to come to my house and I'd like play him my little songs. He'd be like, oh, that's great. Like, you know, when I was like just starting playing in bands, he'd support and sing along. He'd hang out with all of us and be at every show. Sick of It All was doing the In Effect thing, and they were going to do the album. So the Blood, Sweat, No Tears album, they're like, the budget's small. We have 3 days at Normandy. So I was like, hey, listen, I'll go with you guys. I said, and I'll like help you guys. I said, like, I'll change strings. I'll tune everything. I'll do all like the, you know, and hang out, and I'll sing backups. Yeah, like I was just doing like the same thing I did with the Madball 7-inch. Like I'm gonna set of hands. You know, it's a voice. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So I went to that, and like it was a kind of thing where like they were like, damn it, we don't have lyrics for these like 2 songs. So like I wrote lyrics. Like I wrote the lyrics to Blood and Sweat, the title track of the album. So I wrote the lyrics to that song, and people probably don't know that. And like Bullshit Justice, the chorus of Bullshit Justice, I wrote that riff. That was a Smegma riff.
Hey, Smegma coming back.
Yeah,
it's all dividends, baby.
Justice. That riff.
Smegma always comes back.
So that riff in Bullshit Justice, that like jobbly, Bullshit Justice. I wrote that riff, and I wrote lyrics to something else. I wrote a couple of lines in some other song or a verse maybe. And like, you know, they were like busy, like singing and playing. And I was like, I'll write this. I'm like, I'd be like the Tom Sawyers. I'll be like, do the other 4 songs first.
So you're producing the record, basically.
Producing, no, but like, I'm like writing a little, I'm helping them like get it out, get it ready. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh shit, we don't have this, we don't have that. So like me and Armand, like Armand's the drummer, but he's also like, all right, so they call me Q. My nickname in Sick of It All is Q. Montague, Craig Montague.
Okay.
They're like, Q, just like, you got to do this because Lou's got to finish it, you know, tonight. So you got, okay. And Armand would be like, yo, when you write that, how's this sound for the chorus? I'd be like, yeah, that's cool. And he'd be like, just think about that. And he's like, I got these 2 lines. Like, it was like very fast. Like, so finish it. We got to finish this now. Like, it was very quick.
So you're already, in your mind, you're already part of this camp.
I was
And
always part
first
of that
record.
camp.
Yeah,
I booked their
right.
first show. I booked the first Sick of It All show at the Right Track Inn. It was 86, I think May of 86 maybe. And I was booking, it was the first show I ever booked myself. It was at the Right Track Inn. It was Youth of Today, Straight Ahead, Crippled Youth, and Sick of It All. And I was playing in Straight Ahead and Youth of Today. Crippled Youth couldn't play. They were later changing into Bold, as you know,
right?
because it was not PC. But back then, nothing was PC. This is the way it was. So Sick of It All played. In the first flyer, I said to Lou and Pete, I go, hey, I'm booking this show. I want you guys to play first. It'll be a first show. And they were nervous. They were like, we're not ready. We're not ready.
Yeah.
And I said, check it out, man. I said, you'll be ready. I said, you got to be ready. And so on the first flyer, I put special guest. And then I handed the flyer out at CB's. And then like a week or two later at the matinee, I like put the little piece of paper over it and went to the Xerox machine. And it said Sick of It All. And I was like, and they were like, what are you doing? I was like, well, now you have to play. And they were like, they were like scared. And they played, and it was the first show ever. Armand wasn't
Sick
even
of
in
It
the
All
band.
was born, and students in their shirts would be terrorized by teachers for the rest of their lives.
Terrible. But like I booked that first show. So I was like,
It's amazing.
it was like destiny that I was involved with them. I was always,
100%.
we're friends. And like, I had been playing shows a lot already for years. And they were like, they were into the scene. We all went to shows. I knew those guys before I even went to CB's. But like Pete picked up the guitar a little later. Lou tried to play bass at first. So as a band, they came like 2 years later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So are you thinking like, why the hell am I not in this band?
Well, I was in AF. So what am I going to do? Quit like the biggest hardcore band in the world?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I wanted to quit the biggest hardcore band to playing Sick of It All. Not that they're not my friends, but I was in the biggest hardcore band in the world. I was touring 9 months out of the year.
You were in
playing,
AC/DC.
I was playing the AC/DC. I was playing in huge shows at AC/DC hardcore. So many people when the AF would play, when I was in AF, people in other bands, we'd go to the West Coast. I'd get like 4 offers to join. They'd be like, play bass in my big bands. They'd be like, play bass in my band, play bass in my band. The guy from Gangrene was like, you got to play. I'm just in Boston. Play with us. I was like, I'm in this band, you know what I mean? But people would always ask me, like, your bass, everyone liked my bass sound. They're like, I like your bass sound, but I like my bass sound too, you know what I mean? So I get it.
Is it true that you asked Mark from Floor Punch about his bass sound? And he said, I'm just doing Straight Ahead?
I think I did, yeah.
Nice.
I can.
That had to feel good.
That's nice. I can recognize a good bass sound, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I know what you're doing.
Are you
I always tell people, I go like when people like, oh, this, that, the other thing, da, 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 da. I go, I'm good at 2 things. I'm good at bass playing and boxing. But boxing, when I was young, I was good at boxing. So I'm like, I'm good at 2 things, bass playing and boxing. I was like, and you know what that makes me? That makes me a bum because I'm a guy that when everyone else was getting a career, I was like having fun doing the things I enjoyed, playing bass and boxing. So like,
but one of them is your career.
And one of them is my career, and the other one, what are you
going to do?
I made some money in the other one too. I was pretty good at that too. You know what I mean?
There you go.
So how does it happen?
We're talking about Sick of It All.
Sick of It All.
So what happened was AF was touring and AF broke up. We did our last tour of Europe. It was 92, I think. And we toured Europe and the plan was to end the band. Roger was going to go to school in Florida for motorcycle repair. We had some stuff going on with the band that we needed to take a break for a little while. Roger needed to do that. Stigma had some stuff going on. So it was time for AF to end. We thought that was the end of AF, and it was the end of it. So what happened was AF plays their last show and breaks up. And before that tour started, Armand called me and said, hey, Richie's quitting the band. You got to do Europe with us. At the time, I thought I was going to become a chef. I was going to go to culinary school.
Really?
Rhode Island. Yeah, I like to cook.
Hell yeah.
I'm interested in cooking. And it never happened, but I like to cook. So I said to Armand, I go, okay. He goes, you got to learn all these songs. I kind of knew them already. And I go, all right, listen, the AF tour ends on this date. He goes, our tour starts the day, not the next day, but the next day after that. And that was the Sick of It All Biohazard tour. And I believe it was 93, maybe, not 92. I think
so it's Urban Discipline, so they're the biggest band on earth.
Yeah. So we were doing Sick of It All Biohazard, and we were like flip-flopping every night or whatever it was,
Uh-huh.
And I wound up coming home. It was AF tour was 7 weeks. So I did 7 weeks in Europe in a van, came home, had 1 day off, and I did all my laundry. I did all my laundry.
Yeah.
And I left the next day for an 8-week tour of the States in the middle of winter. So I did 13 weeks straight with like 1 day off. Maybe Sick of It All tour had 1 or 2 days off. The AF tour had like 1 day off. So I basically did a 13-week run, which was that was the longest run I ever did.
I think that's 15 weeks, which is even crazier.
Just never again.
You did 15. Again. You did 15 weeks.
No, you did 7 weeks, 8 weeks into 5 weeks, 7 weeks.
Oh yeah. So okay, yeah, great math, huh?
That's crazy, man.
That's why I play bass. Hey.
So after that, during that tour, is it just like
might have been
Craig?
6.5 and 7.5, but it was something like that,
Too damn many. That's for sure.
So on that tour, is it decided?
You know what happened? I said to these guys, like, I'm going to do this tour and I'm going to go to culinary school, blah blah blah. And by the end of the tour, I was like, we didn't even say it officially, but I was like, yeah, I'm in the band. What's next? You know what I mean? It just was like, what are we doing? And Armand, they knew. Like Richie, I talked to him on the phone from a payphone on tour, and he's like, it's you. Who's it going to be? Of course it's you. It's always you. He's like, I'm like, yeah, right. Yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? It's going to happen. It's the way it is. We're friends. It's
beautiful. Let me ask you something, Craig. You have a best friend?
I think you're my new best friend.
All right. After me. Who's your best friend?
It's hard to say. I got a few best friends. I'm on the spot now. I have a few best friends.
I know. I want to hear about because we're talking. The way you talk about Tommy and Armand, it's like these guys are just. It's fated that you're gonna.
I got my
together.
I got my childhood best friends. Like Sean, my friend Sean Graham. His uncle was a famous boxer in the 50s. That's how I got into boxing, from the Graham family. But anyway, his uncle was Billy Graham, a famous welterweight from the 50s.
Yeah, I know that name.
Superstar Billy Graham.
Beat Sugar Ray Robinson in the amateurs. Sugar Ray Robinson only lost twice in the amateurs. He was one of the guys that beat him. Sugar Ray Robinson never fought him as a pro.
Wow.
But Sugar Ray Robinson was under the name Walker Smith Jr. for 2 fights. And those are the 2 fights he lost. So
Sugar Ray Robinson never lost.
Yeah. That's how they get away. Yeah, that's how they get away with that.
Technicality.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. But anyway, he's like my best friend from childhood. I got to say, Armand's one of my best friends. You know what I mean? Pete, Lou, and Armand are some of my best friends.
Come on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, like AF guys. Those guys are some of my best friends. Like, I've been through such life experiences with them. Like Willie, Maddie, Roger, Vin. You can't, you know what I mean? Like all of these guys, you know what I mean? The Madball guys, those are some of my best friends. Like, I don't talk to these guys every day, but like, I could be 85, 90 years old. I could run into these guys and we're going to be crying, hugging each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like beautiful. No matter what happens between people, I love these people. There's no way around it. You know what I mean?
Love to hear it.
Now I have a question, because I suspect it's soon in this timeline. Craig, you are synonymous with the bass strap that doubles, the double bass strap around your neck. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
When did that make its appearance?
That was probably like 94. So I
knew it.
I blew a disc in my back when in the 80s. I broke a disc in my back. I was a furniture mover. I worked. Armand worked that job with me as well. So I was like doing furniture moving to make a living when I was in AF and Youth of Today and all that. And I blew a disc in my back. And after a while, I couldn't walk for like a year, right? And I just like laid in the mattress on my mother's in my room in my mother's house and just like peed in the bottle. I was like so fucked up.
Oh man! And
I didn't know what was wrong. I had no medical insurance, so the disc just kind of, I have a bag where the disc was. There's no fluid in it, really. It's messed up. So years later, like 10 years after that, I started, when I was playing shows to jump up, I started getting a lot of numbness. Like half of my face would be numb.
Holy shit.
My hands would start getting numb. My foot would be numb. And I was like, I don't feel right. Everything feels numb. Like half of my body, it was like a little lazy too. I was like, am I having a stroke? So I went to the doctor and they gave me an MRI and they were like, your disc is completely ruptured. It's now desiccated. They're like, it looks really old though. I don't get it. And I was like, 10 years ago, I hurt myself on a moving job and I couldn't walk for a while. I spent like 2 months laying on a mattress and they were like, yeah, that must be it. So
Wow.
So I
double bass strap is
invented the
born.
double bass strap because it put the weight on both sides and it stopped me from getting numb when I would play shows.
No kidding.
And the thing that was weird though, the doctor, when he did the MRI results, when he read them to me, he goes, "It's really weird though." He goes, "You have scar tissue built up on the left side that's like mimicking the size of a disc." He goes, "It's so strange that it did that." And I go, "Well," "if I were to put a weight on one side of my body and jump up and down repeatedly, like jump up and down repeatedly, would that make that scar tissue?" He goes, "In theory, yeah." I go, "Well, that's what I do." And he's like, the guy was like kind of confused, but he was like, "It's really weird." He goes, "But it's not touching the nerves. So I have like scar tissue there, which is like,
it's like a callus.
It's like a spinal callus or some weird thing."
That's the first time I ever saw you. The singer in my band is a bigger guy. He was playing bass in a band at the time that we played in together. And you told him, because you saw the bass strap falling off of his traps because he's pretty built. And he told him, "You got to get this double one. That used to happen to me. That won't happen to you." That was the like, that's Craig ahead.
Since we haven't been playing Sick of It All, I've been doing some playing with different groups. I had like a run with one of the guys that was in the Ramones, and then I played with Judge and stuff like that.
Oh.
And one of the guys, the only guy that's left, Marky. But I was using a single strap with those guys because it wasn't like every day on tour. We weren't playing, a 20 show every day run 6 days a week. So I was using a single strap, and it works out okay, but it kind of hurts after a few shows,
Yeah.
But those shows weren't like back to back to back to back to back, so it worked out,
Interesting.
Some guy patented that.
Scumbag.
Patented that, and I think I know who he was because he came to a show and he was asking me about it one time. He's like, "Look," and he was with another guy, and they were like kind of like treating me like an animal in a cage. They're like, "Look at how he did it. He did it like this," and the guy was an engineer. So yeah, there you go.
I mean, you can prove right of ownership.
The guy's patent is long since worn out, and he made no money on it. Nobody bought it.
Oh,
Okay,
right.
good. We'll get you going. The Craig ahead strap.
Bo's a lawyer, I guess. Huh?
Let's get this thing going.
Bo's a half a lawyer. He's a hardcore lawyer.
That's right. Wendy, that's what she was doing at NYU.
That's right.
Patent technology. All right. It's time for you to finally do a record with Sick of It All. That record is Scratch the Surface. Let's talk about it.
Okay. I joined the band, and a lot of people were like, "Oh my God, how's it going to sound with you?" Like Howie was like, "I can't wait to hear what it's going to sound like." Because, I was like a songwriter, you know what I mean? I wrote a lot of material. And we got a rehearsal space in Chinatown on the top floor of a building right off Canal Street. And we shared it with like 6 other bands and like a magician. It was like this weird spot in this like Chinese building. And they had like all kinds of stuff stored. Helmet rehearsed there also. So there was like all these crates. There were rats everywhere. So we kept our gear there. It was like this weird spot. And we would just go there every day and work on material. So we would just practice and write material. And I just, at the time, I was talking about how I was going to be a chef, and I was going to go to culinary school in Rhode Island because I was dating a girl there, and I had broken up with her. So I was full-fledged back, like, oh, I'm not going to go to culinary school, whatever. And, I was like kind of like, like a little pissed off because it was kind of like, like not a great situation living there. And, it was like some ugly neighborhood shit. Anyway, I wrote a bunch of good songs because I was like a little agitated, you know what I mean? Felt a little disrespected. So it helped with the process, you know what I mean? So it made it what I think is a great album. So in retrospect, it was a good thing. I'm glad it happened.
Was it entirely collaborative, start to finish, this whole record
Yeah,
process?
we all wrote on that album. That was like, Armand would be like, "Hey, I got this song," and we'd mess with that song that day. And then Pete would be like, "Hey, I got this other song," and we'd mess with that like the next 2 days. And then I'd be like, "I got this song." So every song, we completely all worked together on that. It wound up being, even like Ernie Parada was involved in that. Like the song Step Down, we were touring with, before Black Train Jack, it was maybe it was Black Train Jack. We toured with them in Europe, and Ernie was the drummer for Token Entry. So one day we're set up outside because we were playing a festival, and somehow we had power. I don't remember how that worked out, but I started playing the Step Down riff, and Ernie was playing drums. And I was like, oh, look, it's like an Oi song. This is cool. And it turned out to be like the biggest hit Sick of It All ever had.
Wow.
And then we were like playing that when we got back. We were like, yo, that song you were doing with Ernie, let's do that. And they were like a little bit like, can we do an Oi song? I was like, yeah, we can do whatever we want. You know what I mean?
And let me tell you something, Craig. There's a lot of little steps in my journey here and my brother and I, that molded our interest in hardcore music and got us to where we are. And the Step Down music video is a gigantic stepping stone in that journey.
Thank you.
I loved that
See it
video.
on your face. That's why I watched the damn show, for the enthusiasm.
I loved that video and that song before I knew that songs had titles. I didn't know that songs had names. I just knew I liked. There's a book report I wrote when I was in 3rd or 4th grade where I note that my favorite song is In the Underground.
That's hard.
Because I didn't know what the hell Step Down was. I didn't know what that was.
Let me ask you something though. How the hell did we tour together and we didn't hang out every day and talk like this?
I was 18 years old, bushy-eyed little fucker, and I didn't know anything about nothing.
But if you were into it, didn't you look like, hey, tell me about this? It wouldn't.
I was too shy. So this is.
You didn't ask me any questions about that stuff because I would have told you.
I was too shy. I didn't. It was my first
jerk
time.
Or something, or was I
no,
cool?
Not at all. You guys were great, but also I think it was 3 days long.
How long was it?
Probably 3 days, and I think we were driving and you guys were flying. So it wasn't really
so
we didn't have time.
What you're saying.
No, we didn't have time to really do this. This is when I played drums in Alpha and Omega, we toured with Sick of It All for maybe 5 shows.
Yeah, something like that, a handful.
And like I was very young, but I loved Straight Ahead. I loved Rest in Pieces. I loved Sick of It All. So it was just very cool for me to take that all in. And I wasn't like an extroverted kid. You know, I played my songs and I went on my way. So this is Craig and I's first real time talking about this stuff. But the Step Down video is my first exposure to slam dancing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow. Okay.
And I imagine many others.
Sure. Who
are all the moshers in this video?
It was myself. I think Kate 108 was in that, was she?
She's doing the pizza maker?
Yeah. And who else? Tim Shaw was the guy who fell down, right?
He's doing the California. Thanhanks for that, by the way.
And there was a couple of other guys. You know what I mean? Like California used to they like big time circle pits back in the day.
Oh yeah, we got that. And now, dude, California now is forsaking the circle pit.
How so?
They think they don't like it. They think it's for metal and weird stuff. And it's like, dude, this is like. As the circle pit is as core as it gets.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like before there was mosh, there was skank.
Straight
absolutely.
Up. And then skank and a circle.
Yeah,
and here we are.
Strange. It's strange the way things kind of
respect the circle pit.
It's like evolution, de-evolution. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
It's like the evolving. You see the guy turns into a human, then he just like de-evolves back down.
Back to monkey. You don't want to go back to monkey.
So. It's you. Are you doing the gorilla mosh in the video?
I think I was the guy doing the classic New York style.
Okay.
For you set it off.
Yeah.
So I just kind of did like a low swing. Okay. Nothing with a particular no particular stamp on it, just a generic old school New York. I used to mosh, when I was young.
Of course.
So this music video got hit so far and wide that Beavis and Butthead would also review it.
That's right.
Stating these dances are pretty cool, they said. And then invented a few of their own mosh moves. And these mosh moves were called the dill hole.
I remember that.
The bung hole.
I remember the bung hole specifically.
And the fart knocker double inverted nad twist.
That I don't remember at all. I think he's making that one up.
No, you'll see. Here's the footage.
Mike Judge made that one up.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
not Mike Judge.
No, different Mike Judge.
The other Mike Judge, yeah.
You think they ever met?
No, I don't think so.
Shame.
Because as far as I'm concerned, I mean, there might be 2 Mike Judges, but for me, there's 1 Mike Judge, my friend.
That's right.
That's right. Beautiful.
He played drums in Youth of Today when I was in Youth of Today when Tommy left.
That's right.
There we go.
That's
and
right.
That's how we got to be friends. I mean, I'd met him before. I was friends with Mark Ryan. But he was the drummer for Youth of Today the second half of me being in Youth of Today.
All these drummers, man.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense because it's a rhythmic genre, right?
Yeah.
It's all it is. It makes sense.
And then Mike said to me, he goes, I'm going to start a new band. I'm going to sing. I go, you're going to sing? And he goes, we kind of want to do like hardcore, but with like metal guitar. He goes, I want to make it sound like heavy. He goes, you know about all that stuff. He goes, you're into that metal stuff. He's like, what records do I get? I was like, he's like, give them to Purcell. I was like, all right, take the Kill 'Em All, Metallica, the first Exodus album. I go and maybe listen to a Slayer album. I was like, I guess that'll work. You know what I mean?
I'm talking to Craig from NYC Mayhem, death metal band.
He wanted the 80 to 83 Craig. You know what I mean?
Deep
cuts.
That's from the band that invented the blast beat. He had to get his
deep cuts.
Scratch the Surface. Your first song first album with the band, and you still play 7 to 9 songs from this thing every time you play.
Yeah.
Great job.
There's a couple songs I wanted to play that they would never play though. They would because Lou would always, what are you doing? What's the matter with you? He'd he'd turn it into a joke. He'd act like a grump, you know what I mean? And get mad at me. I wanted to play Stick Together, the real generic songs, the ones that almost sound like bad skate punk. I wanted to play those type of songs.
Could you do me a favor next when Sick of It All plays again? I know that listen, just look around.
I like the way you said that.
Okay, but when you play again,
thank you.
The Pain Strikes.
Yeah, we used to always do that.
Give it to me.
That's a powerful. That's like jump. That's like. You know what the problem with that song is though? That's a hurt your skeleton song. That song hurts a lot.
What, like the verses and stuff?
It's like a jump up and down, break your bones.
Yeah.
That song is
dude, you get to that end part and you're bringing when you're coming in, you got to go off.
Yeah.
I get it.
The first half of the song is jump up and down and my skeleton, you crush your skeleton. Then the second half is wave back and forth and hurt your neck and your shoulders.
And then the end with the lead.
Yeah. It's like a weird, confused song. It's like that's like Brooklyn stomp meets 70s punk. It's like a weird, confused song. Good song.
And I need it back.
All right. We always did it. We always did it.
The last 4 or 5 times I saw you, I don't think you played it, so I need it back.
Yeah, we used to do it years ago. It hasn't been back in a long time. Pete loves that song. He's always like, "Do the Pain Strikes, do the Pain Strikes." He's always pushing for the Pain Strikes.
Me too, Pete.
he gets to hurt himself on that song. He likes to hurt himself, so.
And he gets to do the fucking that's fun.
Yeah, he his skeleton holds up pretty well. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's fucking been jacked the whole time. So
his skeleton, he's got a titanium skeleton or something. The broken back doesn't work well with the knee operations, but that's hardcore. What are you gonna do? Hardcore.
Exactly.
I remember Jimmy used to wear the knee pads, and I'd be like, Jimmy,
Stone Cold.
He'd always be like, "Yeah, I got hardcore knee." I'd be like, "I got hardcore knee too." Hardcore knee. I got call operations hardcore knee. It's like a thing.
When does Europe as a second home to New York hardcore really become a thing?
I think first New York band that went there was GB in '89. Actually,
no shit.
GB went there. People don't really know that, but GB went there in '89. Then AF went there in '90, and Sick of It All went there in '92. So I went there with AF from 90 to 92 a whole bunch of times, and then once I joined Sick of It All in 93, they had already went once, and then we just went nonstop.
We lived there.
Europe had European bands playing. Other bands didn't play there much. You had bands come through, some West Coast bands, but it wasn't a big thing. And basically, we just lived in Europe for a decade, and it got really popular over there.
Now, not to be contrarian, but I know that Youth of Today went really early too because they got stuck at the Russian border, and the TM convinced them that they were a soccer team because they looked so sporty. And they got through.
That's a great story,
dude. Porcell used to have TrueTillDeath.net, and it was an amazing website for a nerd like me because all these things were on there. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Yeah, Porcell's got American hardcore, he's a wealth of knowledge.
He's American hardcore.
No, American
hardcore. I think that was 88, 89, around there. So
that was right when the doors opened.
Right when I didn't know.
Straight Edge got there first. Hey, Gotta give
It
it to
always
him.
does.
Gotta give it to him.
It always does. All right, so Built to Last. Elektra Records, Madonna got you. She got
Madonna.
you.
She got me.
Hook, line, and sinker. Tell me about what you remember from this record and the time frame.
I remember being like, we Scratch the Surface had gotten really popular. I remember playing like on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night somewhere in like the Pacific Northeast, and there were like 800 people at the show, and I was like, it's like a Tuesday night, and we're playing some like second tier Northwestern spot, and there's like at least 750 people there. I'm like, what's happening here?
We've done it.
It got really big. Like we were playing these shows. There were like 1,200 people here, 1,500 people here. You know, a small show would be like 600 people. I was like,
wow,
what the, like when it's happening, you almost don't realize, but I'm sort of like, wow, we're like, this is doing really well. What's going on? Like, you don't know. You just know that like you want your clothes to dry. You got to hang them up because they're wet.
The
You don't want to play.
Salty pants.
Shit, I got to play in wet socks and underwear. I hate that. You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's your worry. You know what I mean? And like, I'm hungry, but I can't eat because I got to eat afterwards. I hope the sandwich will still be good after I play.
Yeah.
And it's not.
So
it's not. Never was good.
Never.
So
was
let me
good.
ask, what would you accredit that to?
I think that Scratch the Surface just came out at a time where New York hardcore broke, and we had been putting in so much work for so many years. Like, well, Scratch the Surface wasn't so many years, but it just hit.
Yeah.
It just hit, and like the MTV thing picked it up a little bit, so it was on there. In Europe, we were like busting it out. I just think it hit, and we were like kind of like the New York hardcore kind of broke with that. We were one of the bands that like kind of got it
big time,
like big and like almost like weirdly semi-commercial, I guess. But
yeah, did Scratch the Surface go gold or anything like that?
Scratch the Surface broke the top 100.
That's right.
Which at that time is insane.
Yeah, insane.
Unimaginable.
Yeah, that album sold over 250,000 copies. I know that.
So
certified silver.
Yeah, it was like over 300 by now, you know? So yeah, whatever they call it, silver or whatever. I got a silver record at my house.
There we go.
Wow.
So Built to Last hits. How is that received? Is it like, are you reaping the benefits of Scratch the Surface now?
Yeah, well, Built to Last was like sort of like, oh, wow, that last album, people really loved it. And I was like saying, guys, for this next album, I want to bring back the old pile up. Because, you know, you play CBs and there'd be like a chorus and everyone would pile up on the singer and there'd be a big pile up. Like people don't really do pile ups that much anymore. But I was like, I want to bring the pile up back. I want to have more chorus. I go, the last album, we hit hard. It was a little dark for us even. I go, I want to bring back the pile up and like a little more of the punk aspects of our sound. So,
I mean, and Step Down hits so hard that why would you not naturally just go, okay, well, let's do that.
So we, you know, kind of like, you know, end of the song Built to Last. You know what I mean? It has that like, you know, it's almost like pirate sound, swashbuckler or whatever. We always say it's a real swashbuckler when we laugh. You know, but it's like a pile up. You know, it won't go away. It has that like people jump on the stage and pile up vibe. So we were going for that and like us versus them. And we went out to California. We recorded it in LA, up on the hill. What's the name of that area? Up on the hill in LA. Yeah, that area up on the hill.
The hill.
Right in LA, you go up the hill and it's like a nice little area up the hill in LA. It's like
the hill.
Not the hill, but it's like when you're in downtown LA and you go past like the Whiskey and all those places and it goes up and back there.
Oh, are you in the valley?
No, we're not in the valley. We're in like LA.
Come to the valley.
Come on over. Come on for the big one.
Come on, man. I mean, if you're past Sunset and you're going over a hill.
Well, it's just, he says in the hill. So what's the
the hill?
Yeah,
I don't know.
The name
I never been up there.
We had like one of those like apartments, those long stay apartments, like a long stay apartment. We stayed there and we recorded at a studio up there on the hill with Garth Richardson. And the thing that was weird was he was like, I have enough drums. And Armand was like, I didn't even play the song. He goes, I'm just going to take the parts and cut them together. He was like, I don't play like that. And the guy wanted to cut everything together. And we were like, yeah, that's not how we play. He goes, it'll sound better. Trust me. And I'm like, so we tried a little bit of his way. And, you know, we've done that we did that. We've done that, you know, but it's like we kind of want to get a good take, and then maybe if we have to like edit a little
punch
bit,
and splice.
If the second verse he's falling apart, all right, we'll cut the first verse in. But usually the second verse, it's not always the same. Like everything, that's what's good about hardcore. Everything kind of has like a jerkiness,
dynamic.
Yeah,
of course.
The imperfection is what makes it. Yeah. So he would like, I'd come in early, like I'd come in a lot, and like I was in the room with him a lot, and he's like, all right, it's ready to go. I go, okay, play it for me, and he'd play like a song, and I'd be like, that's not it, and I'd be like, no, it cuts here, and I'd explain it to him, and he didn't really know the material that well, so I had to be like, look, man, you got to let this guy play through. This isn't working. So he did a lot of cutting, but he also let Armand play through for reference, and then took the parts, some of the parts, and moved them around. So we had to kind of like get him off of his ultra production stuff.
That's crazy. It's just not understanding the vibe at all.
We recorded that album. We were in there for a while. It was a lot of fun. We had friends out there, and we had like kind of like wild times during the recording of that. With some funny stories I won't get into here because they're not really for public consumption. But like we were young men, and we were having fun.
You're in LA for a month.
We're in LA, and it was fun.
It sounds like you're in like Laurel Canyon area.
That's what I
might be.
Which is, it leads to the valley, so it's good.
Yeah, it's like it's like the top of LA, and then you go over there. You go over here, you go over there.
That's good. Yeah, exactly. When do you guys start playing MAFIA on tour?
Oh, that's way later.
Okay.
So we're on tour like I don't know how long ago, probably early 2000s, later 2000s. And I don't know, we might have started playing with Madball, but I think it was the Unearth guys. But I know the Unearth guys were kind of the guys responsible for that whole thing. And they brought it to Madball, and I think Madball brought us in, and we would play. And it was a lot of fun. The problem is, you get, with my personality, I have fun with it. Like, you can see I'm smiling now. Some people would be like, I didn't like you when I first met you because we played MAFIA the first time I met you. I'm like, oh, that's just a game.
Yeah, that's how you become an expert mafioso.
Yeah, people were like, you were yelling at me, and there was one sound man in Europe. He's like, you were yelling at me. I wanted to punch you in the face. I was like, it's a game. We're friends. You know what I mean?
I'm winning.
Yeah, I'm winning. I'm playing.
You want me to lose?
I haven't played that in so many years. It was so much fun though.
God, Colin, we should organize a game of MAFIA with us and a bunch of these New York guys.
Sounds incredible.
just
film
practice. It. Nah, so are we.
We'll make it work. You never lose the mafioso spirit.
The guys from Unearth,
Buzz,
Ken. Slow was incredible. The bass player. Dude was such a good player. I saw him one time play a game, but the problem is when you have new guys, they're way more dangerous because they kill people that know what they're doing.
Yeah,
it's just like reckless. But I remember Slow, he was like a game of like 20 people. And at the end, he's all quiet. Everyone's like going after him. And he goes, okay. And he points to this one kid. He goes, you said this in round 3. And now you just said this. So that proves. And I was like, oh my God, how did this guy, he's holding on to it that long? I was like, this guy's incredible. And they voted Slow out because the kids, they started yelling and they didn't really understand what he was saying. I was like, this dude is like this guy's like a legend. I can't believe it. How do you know that?
Corleone.
Yeah, he was like he was like Don Corleone. Yeah, dialed in.
So how are you guys passing time on tour from like 94 to 99?
A lot of jokes, making fun of each other a lot. Like I'm like doing crazy stuff left and right. Like I'm like doing all kinds of shenanigans, and they're like laughing at what I'm doing. They're like enjoying my
You're
stuff.
Just further herniating that disco.
Further herniating that disc. Yes, terribly. Armand is like being Armand, so he's bringing a lot of comedy to the table. Lou's complaining and yelling. And in the middle of yelling, like acting like he's mad, he starts laughing. Like he can't even keep it in. You know what I mean? Okay. And Pete's just like vomiting. He's laughing so hard the whole time, and he throws in like a good one-liner here and there. It's like these guys are like actual comedians. Their thing is like slapstick humor and just have fun. You know what I mean?
Beautiful. Call to Arms '99, Fat Wreck, baby.
Love
Wow.
that record.
Great
To
record.
me, that record
Potential
is
for
like-
a fall. Top 10 Sick of It All track.
That record to me is just like a straight up fast hardcore record that like served simply. We didn't try to. I was like, let's just write a record. Let's just write a fast, aggressive hardcore record. Let's keep the songs short. We don't need to expand anymore because we expanded a little bit on Scratch and on Built. We're like, let's bring it. Let's hone it back in. Elbows in tight and short shots. Keep it simple. And,
Yeah, this is 16 songs in 32 minutes.
Yeah,
which they may be 2 minutes now, but that proves that there's still some straight ahead in you.
I remember the first song, "Let Go." I wrote that song, and when I wrote it, I go, "This sounds exactly like Adrenaline Overdose." I was like, "This is a total AOD song." That's what it sounds like, AOD to me. And I remember I was like, I wanted the record to start out because it just starts with guitar. I wanted the record to start out where you hear like bzzz, like the buzz of the cable on the rug, and then bzzz, and he picks it up and like plugs it in and then starts playing it. And they were like, "No, that's like so amateur." I go, "No, that's what's supposed to be the start of that song." But they didn't want to do it, and we didn't do it. But it still came out okay. But can you hear that? Like the way that riff is like, it's like a thin, fast riff. It sounds like AOD. Like I hear that.
100%.
I hear that.
There's this sounds like you've been in the band for 3 records now.
Yeah, yeah.
And you've got your process down.
Mm-hmm.
I really like the bass sound I got on that record. I got a nice bass sound.
You remember what you used?
I used a bass I call Wally Brown. It's a Schecter body with a walnut neck. It had a walnut neck, which is pretty rare.
Yeah.
It was kind of heavy. It had the EMG
Wally
PJ.
Brown.
It had the EMG PJ split, which is my thing. I use an active EMG PJ split, and I put a badass 2 bridge on it. And I bought it like used from like Beer Truck, who's a guy that was a roadie for Biohazard. He worked on 48th Street. So I bought it from Beer Truck, and I got it like whatever he would get. I got a bass here you're gonna like. And I'd be like, how much? He'd be like, $262. He's like, that's what we paid for that. I'd have to give him the cost. He wouldn't look it. And he actually, my red bass, he found a bass I call white. It's a white red. It's red but white and a little different, but made by the same guy that made those. So it's the only 2 I've ever seen. So
And you have both?
Yeah, and that was like $245. You know what I mean? It was like no money at all. He just like paid.
Has Red ever come close to?
I had to pay the ticket, just a ticket.
Yeah,
number.
no,
That's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Has Red ever come close to having to be put down?
Well, back in the 80s, I was going to sell Red. I was like, "Oh, you buy it." I don't want Red. So I just had this weird idea that I was going to sell Red to this kid I went to school with, and I let him use it for like the high school talent show. He was like a bass player, and he went up and did some weird stuff on bass. And he I think he played like this, like Seinfeld, or maybe Seinfeld probably didn't exist back then. But whatever he did, he played some like weird bass stuff. And then I was like, "No, just give it back to me." And I took it back, and that was it.
I always regret selling guitars and amps
and shirts,
pedals and cabs. You can sell
shirts,
all day.
Yeah.
I actually wanted to ask you about that, Craig. Before this, mid 80s stuff, the straight ahead Youth of Today, around that time, there are shirts and merchandise that exists, but they are printed in someone's little brother's high school.
They're all medium.
They're all size medium. They're all crooked and crazy. How conscious were you of like, oh, we're making a shirt and this might be around, or we're making a shirt, let's make sure it looks good, or like?
I was never a record collector or a collector. Those Youth of Today guys were totally like that. And I'd always be like, what am I going to do? Like, I was like not organized. I just wanted to play. So like those guys were record collectors. They had all this stuff. I just looked like, yeah, whatever. I didn't care. But I have unopened End the War Zone with the sticker on them, a whole bunch of them.
Oh, wow.
Still sealed and everything. I think Tommy has 2 test pressings.
Of End the War Zone?
Of the 12-inch.
Breakaway?
I think he has Breakaway test pressing, first one ever off the presses. We were talking about selling some of this stuff, maybe. We were like, yeah, maybe we'll sell some of it. Somebody's going to want it. You know what I mean?
Don't do it. Don't do it. Keep it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Or give it to me. But the first
T-shirts.
Yeah, T-shirts.
Yeah.
My friend had a thrift shop in Queens on like Bell Boulevard in Queens back in like the early 90s. And I had all these 80s shirts. And the guy's my good friend. My friend Stevie G. He was in the Step Down video, the guy with the blonde flat top and the tattoos. And I'm like, he's like, I got the thrift shop. He had a thrift shop on the 2nd floor. I go, you want to sell my hardcore shirts? He's like, yeah. So I brought him like big bag of the Crackdown shirt, AF Victim in Pain shirt, like everything you could ever imagine, like everything. And I gave him all these shirts, and like he sold them for like $5, $10, $8. But back then, $5 was like 20 is now 15.
Yeah, but now those are a down payment on a house.
Yeah, now those would go for like $800 to $1,000 each, which is insane.
Insane.
And I just let all that stuff go. Like I think, like, oh, what was I thinking?
Who could have predicted?
Yeah, no,
I lived it. You know the deal. Like
Exactly.
you live something, you don't think of it like that. You think of it as, oh, that was a great time.
Something I didn't ask earlier: why is the first batch of Breakaway 12 inches? Why is it just the sticker instead of the artwork?
Because it was, like we didn't have a place to get this, like to get the sleeves, to get the record pressed with artwork was like too expensive and too much work. So we just went with like disco, old school, like disco 12 inches with the cut out in the center. And then we got a bunch of stickers made and just put them on there, like just DIY, like ghetto. Just like.
Do you have a copy with the sticker?
I got like probably 10, 12 unopened ones. That's what I'm talking about. I have a whole bunch of those.
You know how much those sell for?
How much?
$500 to $1,000.
So I'll buy a new car.
Yeah.
Jesus.
With this, if they got the sticker on them.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, I got all that stuff.
Because the blank one with no sticker, like where the sticker fell off, is $350 to $500.
That's crazy. Where do you sell them all? Like what's the
Discogs?
There's Discogs, or we got guys we can connect.
Or that, yeah.
I have like a gatefold original Victim in Pain with Roger's copy, and it has like a hole in it because he like dropped something on it, like burned a hole in it. I have like that.
Damn.
I got like the Bad Brains Pay to Come 7-inch. I got like a bunch of stuff. Like, and
You're
I
gonna be
wasn't
having
even
some
a
people
collector.
reach out about these Breakaway.
All right, I wasn't even a collector. I just was, involved. I wasn't like some guys I know. Like I kept it. My stuff's probably not pristine. Some of it might be because it's just sitting in a box in like my mother's like closet, probably.
Amazing,
unbelievable.
You're like, where does she live?
No.
Queens. It's Queens.
Let's talk about Call to Arms real quick, a little bit more before we move on.
All right.
Any fond memories of this era in Sick of It All?
That was like fun. We hooked up with Fat Mike to do the record, and Fat Mike was always a really cool guy. We're all friends with him. And it was weird because the West Coast always had their act together. They were like businessmen dialed in. The East Coast never, the hardcore scene, we never like pulled it together. Everybody was sort of like doing their own thing. So it was nice to deal with him. He got me when we went there, and he had like the big like tin tray filled with those, the clear wrapped, like the Vietnamese spring rolls. So I was like, we got to do the record with him. So big tray of those. I was like, yeah, Mike, we're doing the record. Give me some more of these. There's like 100 of them.
And then you did 2 more, so it must have been a pretty good relationship.
Yeah, the relationship was really good. He was a very, very honest. He is a very honest man and very, very fair. He gave us a deal financially that it was unbelievable. He basically he's like, I already have a lot of money. I'm not too worried. I'm going to make sure you guys get paid. So that was cool.
The dream.
Yeah,
the problem was like his label, Hardcore Kids, I wouldn't say they discriminated against it. They disregarded it a little bit.
Yeah,
so
it was
at that point, labels kind of mattered. You know what I mean?
And he's doing pretty much everything else he's doing is not hardcore.
Right.
Yeah, it's like West Coast punk, but great guy. It's all hardcore. Listen, I first met Mike on tour when I was touring with, I think, Youth of Today, and I remember meeting him at shows when I was young. Like he was always drunk, and like at one time I pulled him out of at the farm in San Francisco. I pulled him out of a puddle. He was like in a puddle of mud, like half drowning, and people were laughing at him, flicking cigarettes at him. I was like, "Yo, what are you guys doing?" I pulled him out. I sat him up. I was like, "Yo, he was always a good guy, but like, he back then hardcore and that it was all one thing."
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. These West Coast guys are coming to play. Like they're coming to play. It was all the same thing, just different parts of the same scene.
That's kind of where we are now. Again. Finally,
I love it.
Truly,
that's
everything is one.
It's true.
Mobb Deep using the Sick of It All Dragon. Tell me about that.
They I guess they were, in their friend group, they'd all get it on their hand. So it was like some tattoo they'd all get because, it was originally it was Flash.
Okay.
But we wound up getting the ownership of that Flash from using it. So it became our symbol legally.
Yeah.
So they used it, and then they put it on their record, and we had a little conversation with them through friends, and people that worked at their label knew us. So we talked a little bit with them, and they were cool. And we wound up doing that song together. And that was one of the songs where Armand played bass, that Mobb Deep track, because he wrote it. He's like, I have a song. Let me just play it. I was like, yeah, go ahead. So he did that. And they were cool. And just recently, a few years ago, they started using it again. And we were like, hey, we went through all this. You know what I mean? Like, and it was through, what's that company that, whatever.
Supreme.
Oh, and we were like, yeah. And they were like, kind of like, yeah, whatever. They were like, kind of like, you know, not taking it seriously. So like, you know, we were like, yeah, you got to stop using it. And they played a game with us, and we wound up suing them and getting a little bit of money for it. So, you know, like, hey, we already went through this. You're going to make it happen again. And then just recently I saw an interview. They were using it again. Like one of the guys, I guess, like there's only a couple of those guys left. And this was one of the guys that maybe didn't know back then how it went. But I saw one of the guys was using it. And I saw in the comments, he's like, yeah, this band from Queens, like nobody ever heard of them. They probably have like 4 followers. I was like, I wrote something like, you kidding me? Like we got like 500,000 followers. Are you like, what are you doing? Like,
and money from you for you doing.
Yeah, I was like, and it's our thing. And we've been through this a couple times already. Like, what are you doing? And you know, I didn't write directly. The guys wrote it in the comments. I was like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean?
It's crazy.
It's becoming an ATM.
It's just weird. You know what I mean?
Keep doing it, guys.
Yeah, keep on going, I guess.
When do you move out of the city?
I still got a place in Queens. I still have a co-op.
Oh, that's what's up.
But I moved 2010. I bought a farm upstate, a couple hours up. And,
beautiful.
Now,
I love it.
At this point in your life, as a farm man,
I tell people up here. One friend of mine up here, he saw an interview where I go, you know, I'm a farmer in upstate New York, and next time I saw him, he was laughing. He's like, you're a farmer in upstate New York. I was like, all right. I go to everybody else, I'm a farmer in upstate. He's like, because he's a farmer. He's like, you're a farmer. You're a bass player in a fucking punk band. And I was like, he slapped me around a little. It was funny.
As somebody who is farm adjacent.
Yes, farm adjacent.
Is this when you get into Bigfoot?
Oh, well, I've always been into Bigfoot. First, it started with sharks. I was big on the sharks thing. When I was younger, I liked sharks. And
the sharks thing leads you to Bigfoot.
Armand and those guys, they say there are 3 slides with me. Boxing slide.
Yeah.
Bigfoot slide. Pretty girl slide. They're like the 3 slides. They're like, oh, the slide switch. Now it's boxing. Oh, now we're back to Bigfoot. Oh, look, a pretty girl walked by. This is when I was younger.
I just opened the Bigfoot slide.
When I was younger, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bigfoot's interesting to me. I think
Let's talk
cool.
Squatch.
You're a Squatch guy?
I could be.
Listen,
I think it's cool. It's fun. It's like a fun fantasy, but I think it's real probably.
It's perfectly reasonable that there are so many square miles in North America that it can't be explored. There's caves, there's dense forests, there's all kinds of shit. I think it's perfectly we discover new species every day, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Indians and the first settlers that came over here, they all talked about it and wrote about it. And, you know, it's probably a very, it probably stays way in the background. It's probably very scared. And I'm sure that there is, I'm sure it's been discovered, but just for whatever reason, maybe it's kept kind of quiet. Probably, I would think for the most simple answer would be because of regulations and, you know, that would have to happen to protect a species like that. That would mess up the logging industry and things like that. I mean, I can't really say for sure, but on the surface, that would make sense, you know?
Do you think there's only one?
No. How could there be one? If there was one, it would die. And I think there's little pockets of them, but I think they're very, very, very deep. I think there's like little family units. There's probably not a lot of them, but, you know, I don't want to say I could be wrong because with all the sightings and all this, I think it's definitely there. But how much of it and what exactly it is, I can't tell you.
There's like there's other like fauna, rhinos and certain kinds of like Siberian tigers and stuff like that, where there's less than hundreds of them left. It's perfectly reasonable. I don't necessarily believe in it, but I'll say you this: if they actually discovered it and there was definitive proof, I wouldn't be that surprised.
I think they probably already have discovered, and it probably is definitive proof, but they're not putting it like, okay, let's talk about this, because they probably weighed the pros and cons. And so our forest resources stop now a lot because this thing that we can't find is deep in the forest. So the logging industry screwed a lot of natural resources. If you want to, if you want to really go out on a limb, talk about Dogman.
What's that?
Tell me about Dogman.
Michigan Dogman. It's supposed to be like a werewolf. They say it's in Michigan and land between the lakes. Supposedly a family was killed there. Whether any of this is true, I have no idea. But people see it, allegedly.
Another cryptid?
Yeah, it's like a giant dog that goes on two legs, like a giant like werewolfy thing. Pretty cool.
I like
Listen,
that.
when you're watching YouTube and I'm not watching the HardLore, I'll go to Dogman and Bigfoot because it's fun. Or I'll watch some like early hardcore footage, or I'll watch some like nerd bass stuff because I actually like. I watch like mathematical bass to get better on the instrument.
I got 2 questions for you, Craig. Are you a Victor Wooten man?
Victor Wooten, I think, is really, really good. I think he's great. I think the guy's like a phenom, and I think he's a great player, and I like the things he says. Stylistically, though, I don't really relate
very
to
weird.
him.
Yeah.
He's very foreign to me.
Yeah.
Ask me your other question. I'll tell you who I do relate to.
Okay. Well, my next one's going to be Mothman.
Mothman's cool, yeah.
There was a sighting.
I went over where that bridge was when I played West Virginia with the Take recently. I thought that was cool.
There was a sighting a couple of years ago at Lollapalooza in Chicago. Dozens of people saw a Mothman fly by.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it was reported. It was reported at O'Hare. Someone at O'Hare reported it too.
I feel like you're gonna see me on like some kind of show talking about that. And I'll give you credit, and people will be like, "Oh, this guy's a nut. I used to like his music." It's great.
You fuck with Chupacabra?
Oh, dude,
I don't know much about it, but
that's my fave.
That's like another one that like I'll I may watch like a short, but
check it out.
As far as Victor Wooten,
yes,
Victor Wooten, he can play. But the bass player, if you want to talk about one of those like really big bass, obviously I'd say James Jamerson from the Funk Brothers, my favorite. But the guy I relate to is Marcus Miller. He's from Queens. He's from Jamaica, Queens. And I watched the video of him laying tracks on an album, and they brought him in, and he played, and his sound was, thick, and he's doing this stuff, and it sounds like nasty, and there's like a heavy beat behind it. And I was like, yo, I go, so this is like me laying tracks on an album, but he's 100 times better. I go, but it felt like a hardcore. It felt like if you were playing in a studio and it was a good session where it sounded thick and you're like banging and you're like, oh, I'm crushing on this drum track. I could relate to it because it wasn't just like plucky and big thing. It was like, boom, it was rocking. I was like, Marcus Miller's the man.
My dad growing up, my dad's a bass player. I was always a bass player. So it was always Victor Wooten and Jaco Pastoro. He loved Jaco.
Yeah, he can play. Like, those guys are very, very technical.
Technical, yes. Very much.
I dig it. You know what I mean? Like I figured out some Wooten stuff. I watch what he does. I figured out some, but the way they present is more flowery. I'm more of a
hard rock.
Hard rock. I can play smooth acoustic and all that, but I feel like there's more. Like when I watch Marcus Miller play, there's more ass. He's got there's more weight to his playing. I like some weight in the playing. It's why I like Entwistle, Geezer. You know what I mean?
I'm a Claypool man myself.
All right, we
are 2 hours and 47 minutes into this.
This feels like 5 minutes, fellas.
That's what I'm saying.
This is great.
And we've got 7 Sick of It All records left.
Wow.
But I think that just proves that Sick of It All has been one of the most consistent bands in the genre ever, never stopping, constantly evolving, but never changing and leaving what you've done behind. How much has changed for Sick of It All in this now kind of back half of the band's story?
As far as we always said this amongst ourselves, like no matter what we play, we always play it like us. So even when we do like a song that's a little weird, it still sounds like us. It still has rough vocals, heavy drums, and thick bass. So we just kind of have that weight to the way we play, I guess. So like what you're saying is like, even when we do something, every album sounds different, but it still sounds like us. So it's in the 100%. way we play, I think, that makes that happen more than anything, There's like a way we kind of present like that, The back half, there's not much of it's the same kind of thing. We were touring a little bit less, not a lot less, but enough so that we don't, people have kids, so they need to be around a little more. Not that much of a difference, trying to strip it down the last bit, try to keep it simple. We were trying to I started tour managing the last bunch of years. So I was handling the Armand was the administrator and I was the live tour manager. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we brought things in a little closer the last bunch of years, and everything was everything was going great. And, the situation with Lou, has temporarily put us on a hiatus.
How's he doing?
He's doing okay. It's one day at a time. I don't really have much to report from his the last time he went on and talked. He had the C. They completely got rid of it. 3 months later, it came back, and it's in a spot that they can't really operate. They can't cut him in those spots because there's a sac around his stomach. They can't cut into it, so they're doing some treatments, and they've stopped the progress, but it's still there. But they had to stop the treatments temporarily because when you get all of this stuff done to you, your liver has to filter all this stuff. So your liver. Your liver readings can get a little skewed. So if they get skewed past a certain point, they have to back off and let him sort of adjust to it.
Yeah, right.
So right now, it's one day at a time. We're going to see what happens. I pray every day. My brother, I love him. I hope he's okay. And this isn't an overnight thing. This is a thing we got to deal with. So it's one day at a time, and I'm just trying to keep a good head and still stay out there playing music. And with the whole Straight Ahead thing, going back to that, the fact that this tragedy happened, if Straight Ahead comes out and we do some nice stuff, pick up on some good, fun, spirited stuff, the activity and keeping the spirit going is a good thing. That's because you got to stay positive at a time like this,
100%.
Absolutely.
And like Lou is, I'm pretty sure, front and center in that Straight Ahead video.
Oh yeah, Lou's all about it. You kidding me? Those
so
guys
I hope
show.
he gets to see it.
Oh yeah, Lou and Pete were like the Straight Ahead guys. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like and then I would be when they would play. We were all friends.
Were you at the Killing Time last show at CB's in 1990? Last show?
I might have been on tour. I don't know. But
because Pete and Lou are on stage moshing the whole time.
Yeah, I was probably. I love Killing Time's great. I just saw Anthony as his father passed away, unfortunately.
Oh,
so his father was a good man. His father and my father were friends back in the old days. So I ate at Anthony's house when I was 4 years old.
Wow.
And then
that's old school Italian.
Yeah, and then when I met him, my father and him used to play cards together. And then I met I went to Anthony's house for Christmas when I was like maybe 15 in hardcore. He'd have the best Christmas gatherings. All the hardcore kids would come over and his mom would cook, rest her soul, and his father would tell jokes. And his sister and him would argue. It was like the funnest thing ever. So I went to his house when I was 15 and I came in. I go, I've been here before. And he said, what do you mean? And I'm like, there was a dirt bike, like a RM 250. I go right by the fireplace and there was plastic on the ground. He's like, what? Called his father over. He's like, tell him. I go, there was a dirt bike there. It was, maybe 10, 12 years ago. Blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, that was my cousin so-and-so. And he goes, how do you know that? I said, I ate here. And then Anthony goes, yeah, his father, it's Craig Setari, his father, Rocco. And, and Anthony started talking jokes like, his father was this and that. They knew each other very well. They were, back in the 70s, everybody was a hard guy, I guess.
Sure.
So Anthony's cracking jokes. Oh, his father this, father that. And Anthony's father looked at Anthony, gave him a straight look, and he looked at me, he goes, he was my good friend. I loved your father. And, he looked at Anthony like, don't say that. Don't say anything. Even though you're joking, don't talk. Old school guys.
Old school Italian.
Anthony's father was a good man. And every time I saw him, he's like a totally courteous guy. He was a great guy. And may he rest in peace, Mr. Cunningham.
Wow, absolutely. Wow. We were talking to Mark from Floor Punch a few weeks ago on the show, and he noted that there was a Killing Time Floor Punch show booked, but that Anthony canceled the show because his father had a dream that Anthony died in New Jersey. So they canceled the show.
Fair enough.
That's old school Jersey.
That's old school Jersey, old school Italian. I've had premonitions that have come true in weird instances. I won't get into it here, but maybe another time we'll talk about that.
Sounds good.
Either privately or whatever. But
that's off the record.
When you have, about Sugar Ray Robinson, the boxer. You've heard of Sugar Ray Robinson, the original Sugar Ray.
I heard.
You've heard of
somebody
Sugar Ray
beat him.
Yes,
you've heard of Sugar Ray Leonard. I'm talking about Sugar Ray Robinson.
Okay,
he's the greatest pound-for-pound boxer of all time. Sugar Ray Robinson. He's the guy who my friend's uncle beat in the amateurs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sugar Ray Robinson was defending his title. He had a dream that he killed the man he was fighting, right? So he wakes up in the morning and he says to the commission, the boxing commission, he says, "I'm not fighting. I had a dream I killed him." They go, "What are you talking about? It's a dream." They brought a priest in. Priest talked to him, and he finally said, "Okay, I'll fight, right? I'll fight." Fights the guy, catches him with a left hook. The guy drops and dies right there on the spot.
Oh, wow.
Yep. So when you have a dream like that,
fuck you up, man. Yeah.
The guy, he dreamed it. I've had dreams that have come true. I've dreamed outcomes to things where the next day or 2 days later it happens, and I was like, "That's what I saw in my dream." So how that works, I don't know, but it can happen.
Unbelievable. Again. One of these days, my Powerball dream is going to work out.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's going to be true. So you guys have not put out a record since 2018.
Yes.
Once Lou heals up, is that in the plans? Is that in the cards? Is that something you guys are already kind of writing?
Yeah, that would be in the plans. Pete has like 26 songs or something.
Holy shit.
Fuck yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I don't know how many they'd actually turn into because we'd have to chop them apart, but I know there's a few good ones in there because we rehearsed on those years ago.
Uh-huh.
I have songs. I actually wrote like a new Straight Ahead song, which could be a Sick of It All song, weirdly enough. I just wrote this song one day. I get up in the morning most days. I get up in the morning. As soon as I open my eyes, I grab my acoustic bass and I start playing the second I wake up, and that's how I write songs and stuff comes out of me. If I put on a TV in the morning, it's like a wasted morning. But if I pick up the bass, so I wrote this song one day a few months back, and I was like, wow, that sounds like a Straight Ahead song. And that could be a Sick of It All song or whatever. I'm just saying, like, stuff just comes out. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So
there's Straight Ahead songs we never got to hear. There's the Don Fury session that broke up the band. We got to hear it.
There's a demo with no vocals that we did also.
Let's finish it up.
So there's Sick of It All will do an album when Lou's recovering.
That's right.
That's right. God bless. Let's hope. But the plan, we were working on an album, and then this happened.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I like will do.
Yeah.
When he heals up.
I like that too.
Could you tell me, off the top of your head, some modern bands in the last 25 years you've seen or toured with that made you think, holy shit, hardcore still rocks?
Yeah, I'm going to say like Turnstile, even though they're the biggest band in the world. Like when I saw them, like when they played with us in Europe, and they were just really good. And they were like, they had their own sound, which was kind of refreshing. I liked the way they sort of had their own thing going on. It was like kind of bright. It had a lot of energy. So and they're such nice guys, they're such respectful guys. They love hardcore. It seems like that whole generation of guys, they all love everything Mike DeJean ever did, which I can't.
Amen. We really do.
I can't really argue with any of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Speed's a good band.
Speed's great.
Yes, absolutely.
What else? New bands, like I love like in the last 25 years, I'd say Wisdom in Chains. If you're going to go back 25 years, I love that band. They 100%. They used the chorus. They knew how to use a chorus, which is pretty rare. Like savoring a chorus is like very, very hard to do. Most people don't savor choruses, Like to find a band that's like a songwriting band and a chorus band, that's so rare.
A little bit of melody, a little bit of a hook just to get you. Yeah, absolutely.
I toured with Wisdom in Chains without ever hearing Wisdom in Chains.
Really?
By the end of this 3-day tour, I knew every word to every song. Pennsylvania.
I fucking
love you.
Yeah. It's great stuff.
Great answers.
What else? You guys got anything else for me? You got any new bands?
Yeah. We got some. We got a little bit more. We're almost done. Could you tell me a single show you went to or played at CB's that sticks with you the most?
Great question.
I don't know about sticks with me the most, but I remember we played the Guillotine benefit. It was in '86, and there's actually a recording of it. There's an audio. I think there's a video and there's an audio recording. And we played the songs weird. We played like we were so busy then. Everything sounds like very unique. Like the songs almost sound like different versions of the songs. But I remember at the end of our set, I'm walking outside with Red, and I had a real case for Red at that point. And there was a riot with the homeless people that were living upstairs. So they all started throwing bottles. They were raining bottles down on everybody because some kind of fight happened or something. So hundreds of bottles. Everyone's like running. So I left Red on the sidewalk and ran across the street because I was getting hit with bottles. Everyone was getting hit with bottles. And Red was there. And all the homeless guys came out and they had like sticks and stuff. And Red was right there. I was like, shit, I got to get Red. And I remember one of the Warzone women ran across the street, grabbed my bass, and ran it back across the street before I could even do it. And that just stuck in my head. Like, I think the fight might have happened. I think that maybe I might be confusing this with a different fight, but I think Russell Underdog had a fight with a skinhead from Jersey. And then Todd Youth hit him in the face with the skateboard trucks and broke the skinhead's nose. And then a riot broke out. I don't remember if that was the same thing or not.
Wow.
But you ever see a guy?
So Red lives. Red lives because of this wonderful woman.
Skateboard held over like this. Bam, and a guy's laying on a car hood. He's pinned on a car hood, and the skateboard trucks just go like this. And the guy's nose just goes boom, and there's blood everywhere, and the guy's just like out. And it made this sound like it was like this deep crack sound. I was like, oh, everyone was like, oh, everyone made like a big like belly aches sound.
Yeah.
Like, everyone was like almost throwing up. It was.
So that's your most memorable CBGB.
That's just the one that sticks in the top of my head. Not the most memorable, but that one sticks in my head. Just because it was so wild what happened,
Yeah.
Two more quick things. What is Sick of It All's fast food of choice?
That's really hard to say. I can't.
One in the world where no matter where you are, you have every single one at your fingertips. You can go to any of them. Where are you guys so psyched to stop?
Armand's going to go to the back in the day, it was that Australian hamburger joint. The Lord of the Flies was Lord of the Fries.
Lord of the Fries. Lord of the
We
Fries.
used to go to Lord of the Fries. We used to go to that back then. I was
Melbourne.
vegetarian back then, so we'd go to that. And fast food, it's hard to say. Like, nobody's really that into fast food. When we were on the West Coast, we go to In-N-Out.
Come on.
Yeah, I mean, that's a no-brainer. You know what I mean? It's pretty easy to. And for me personally, maybe not a Sick of It All one, but a hardcore one, Del Taco.
Oh,
dude, Del
Great
Taco
pick.
is like what Taco Bell is supposed to be. It's
That's
like
crazy.
It's like
Absolutely.
good tasting, clean, simple, like fast food Mexican. Like Taco Bell's just gross, but you go to Del Taco, you get that green or the red bean burrito. It's just,
green burrito, make it bold,
dude,
baby.
eat like
Trust
three
me.
of those, and you're like, who's not happy?
Exactly.
Well,
not
and
happy?
then let me ask you, Craig, as somebody who likes to cook and who's into cooking, what's your favorite thing to cook?
It's hard to say. I always love just a simple pasta pomodoro with tomatoes. One thing I do is I when I go in my garden, I grow little grape cherry tomatoes, whatever, little cherry tomatoes. And when the cherry tomatoes come in, I take a clove of garlic and I put it a little olive oil, and I put the cherry tomatoes just straight into that, right?
Yeah,
and
sear them.
And I put a little pinch of salt in it, and I put a lid on it until they pop, and they just all burst. And when they cook, they start to cook down. Right toward the end, I'll just put in a bunch of fresh basil right at the end, and just have that with some very al dente pasta. And the key to making pasta is you make it al dente, but that starchy cooking water, the salted cooking water, you save a little bit of that. And when you put the pasta with the burst tomatoes, you add a little of that cooking water in, and it starches it up and sticks it together. And you just eat that fresh tomato with the basil, baby tomatoes. They're naturally sweet. It's like one of my favorite things to eat. I love that.
I'm so hungry.
Couldn't be hungrier.
Yeah, I'm hungry as hell too. It's like 3
All
hours.
right, let's get out of here. I got one more question for you.
Yeah, it's a big one.
Craig, ahead. Landmark hardcore musician, could you tell me and Bo and the world your top 4 hardcore records of all time.
Okay, we're gonna say the first 2 Minor Threat 7 inches.
We'll
right?
count that as one.
We'll
That's
count
one.
that as one. That's the way it has to go. The Bad Brains Raw cassette is probably number 1. It's 1 or 2. The Bad Brains Raw cassette crushes it. For its hardcore spirit and capturing the new. If you were going to make a time capsule for 1,000 years in the future, and you wanted to explain New York hardcore, Agnostic Front, Victim in Pain goes in that time capsule.
Yeah.
So Victim in Pain is on that. Is definitely in that. And 4, there's a lot of ways I could go with this, but I'm just going to keep it traditional and keep it rudimentary. Negative Approach, Tied Down.
Whew. Great answers.
Where would we be without Tied Down?
I think
you know?
2
Where
of
would
those.
we be? Would AF have ever written Your Mistake or Friend or Foe? Because those
No
were
way, man.
those were Negative Approach songs, titles at least.
Right.
Wow, unbelievable, Craig. This is an all-timer.
Well, I'm
Instant
happy to be
classic.
here. I watched you guys and I was like, this show's great. I was like, I'd love to be on the show.
Hey, man, we thank you so much for your time.
Truly.
And your patience and your many hours, but this was
That's
fantastic.
cool. This was great.
Unbelievable.
I want to
Craig,
eat. I want to eat with you guys.
Oh,
let's eat.
Say no
You
more.
guys live far from each other, don't you?
We do, but we make it happen.
We
Craig.
make it happen. That's right.
Maybe if not, we'll do 2 separate ones. You know what I mean?
There you go.
Yeah, no problem.
Zoom meal. Zoom dinner.
Well, thank you for having me, and thank you for your interest in Straight Ahead and all that. And hopefully I'll see you guys at the show, at the GB and Straight Ahead show. If you guys want to,
I hope so too.
It's April 25th at the Brooklyn Monarchs. It's gonna be great. I'm very excited.
April 25th, Straight Ahead is back, and if you sell it out fast, maybe in some point in the future they'll be inspired to do it again. Craig, truly, thank you so much for joining us.
All right, fellas, thank you. You'll receive some random texts from me once in a while, pictures of food porn.
No
what's
problem.
Up.
Absolutely.
I want a picture of a Breakaway 12-inch with the sticker on it, too.
I can do that. Right. That's like actual porn, you know what I mean?
It is. Oh. All right. Thank you all for watching and listening. Thank you for having
me, guys.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
You too. See you all next week.
Forever.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode is brought to you by Mad Vintage.